Why does it still say
It's
wait?
usually it's weird because like on Restream there's like a it's usually like a I want to say 5 to 10 second delay from when I go live to when it actually starts streaming. So
Mm. So we have to wait for it.
and the other weird thing too is that when I'm ending the stream, I'll say like, "What's up, guys? That's it for today," and no, not what's up, but see you later. And then I have to like awkwardly pause quietly for like 5 seconds because if I end it right after I say like goodbye or whatever, it will actually cut it off a few seconds prior in the actual stream. So I have to
That
be
makes
like
sense.
conscientious.
Yeah, there's
Um,
definitely latency. It's weird, like watching my 5 second past self in the present.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna probably throw you off a little bit. I mean, the main thing is just like so you could see, me talking. You can see my expression, and then like chat will pop up. Hopefully in that box. I mean, it worked last time, so it should work now.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. So while people are trickling in, it's probably gonna be. Oh yeah, it's. I see your chat in my window, but it
Yeah,
usually
it's.
takes a few seconds for it to hit this other one. Let's see.
You
Yep,
hear my lungs?
I can hear your
Like,
lungs.
if I breathe out, it goes. Oh Jesus!
Oh god. Yeah, I can see your name over here in pink, so it's
Cool.
working.
It came up.
All right, dude. So, it's weird talking to you on here because like I'm so used to talking to you in general, and usually you're on the stream anyway. So like with Shane and Abby and Alan, they're usually like they're not really gamers, and
Hmm.
they feel like guests, whereas like everyone in chat is so used to having you here. I did
Yeah, but
have. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was like, yeah, but since I'm here all the time, you're like, oh, well, Chris, I can show up an hour late to his stream. Yeah, when in Rome? Yeah, good question. When are we gonna fucking be in Rome?
Yeah. I apologize for that. Honestly, like, no, it's nothing to do with you. I just like I'm always freaking running. That's why I'm so happy I found that meme. You probably didn't see it, but I posted in the group chat, and it was a screenshot from Twitter of the Laker game. Like it showed the schedule, and it says in the like picture thumbnail, game starts at 6:30, and then in the headline right below it says game starts at 7:30. And I'm just like, that's my stream. It says it starts at 11 a.m. It starts at 12:15.
Yeah. Well, 12:30 actually.
12:30 actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I had some stuff I wanted to ask you, like some questions. But I actually wanted to like go off of you first. If there's usually like I'll go off of you know like a moment that's happened in someone's life and sort of explore that a little bit. But I sort of know what you've been doing for the past 3 years, really. So if there's a
Yeah.
particular point in that storyline that you want to start with, or something that you really want to talk about, we can go ahead and start with that.
Oh God. Um. Shoot. Well, I guess we could talk about the most recent experience because I guess not everybody's gonna know. I know Panda probably knows, and um, maybe that's about it. Maybe that's the extent of it. Like, what has been the history? Just in the last 3 weeks, kind of, or like, um, well, I was working on a film in Vermont. Like from. I feel like I should even back up because I was living in Sarasota for grad school for 3 years, right? And then I had to leave Sarasota because of COVID. The prices of rent went up so drastically, and then my roommate, like he and I don't know, if he wanted to go his own way, so I was kind of forced to have to leave. And then this opportunity presented itself that I was able to go work on a feature film in Vermont, which was my first feature film. which was really cool, you know. My good friend Matt Kresh, who also went to my conservatory, and his counterpart in that same class, Deanna Wright, they were the two leads for this psychological thriller called Alone Together. And Matt's brother was the one who wrote the script and basically got, production together and was able to find a couple investors. So, they had a small budget of like 100 grand max, I think, maybe 60 grand. I'm not too keen on the specifics.
I'm curious, how did they build the budget for that? Was it
Uh,
because of the excuse me, because of the investors?
well, and that's what I mean. Everybody, like everything that was contributed to this film was all from friends slash family slash people who are just trying to help out, and so basically the way it worked was,
100 grand from friends and family.
well, and well, let me be more clear. Really, from one person specifically. So Matt has another best friend named Christian Fiorina. Christian Fiorina owns this soda manufacturing company warehouse type thing, and his father owns an even bigger chain of those. And so basically, Matt, or I'm sorry, Will, Matt's brother, the guy who wrote the script, came to Christian, was like, "Hey, like any chance we could borrow your cabin, because I think that's a great place for us to film the movie and we want to scout locations in that area." And
Mhm.
basically Christian's father found out about it. He was like, "Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you could totally use it." And as a matter of fact, like I have faith in what you produce. Matter of fact, Will has this podcast called the War Daddy podcast where he's actually interviewed Master Chief. Um, and
You mean the voice actor?
the voice actor for Master Chief. Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Sick.
so he's really close with him. He's a two-time Emmy-winning editor.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what company he works for, um, but basically, yeah. So I mean, he's got like a lot of experience and acclaim as a editor and historian. Kind of, he's really all about war. And well, anyways, Christian's father was like, "Okay." Mr. Fiorina was like, "Yeah, I believe in what you do, so I'm gonna, and I have money, so I'm gonna throw some money your way. And here's, I don't know how much he gave him, 60 to 100 grand or so." So basically, it was all from the Fiorina family.
Mhm.
And Christian, who I got to work with on set, he was kind of the set builder slash kind of like enforcer, kind of watching, making sure that his father's money was being spent appropriately, during production. So he was there, and obviously he was taking care of the cabin because it's his parents' cabin, and they rent that cabin out to people during the holidays. Vermont, if you didn't know, is a beautiful place to go during the transition from spring to fall because of the change in the leaves. You see it happen over the course of the whole month from September to October, or October, yeah, all of October, really.
Vermont is
And
not
that's
a place I've ever really considered traveling to, but that's so. Is that someplace you would go back to?
absolutely, yeah. And there's also this beautiful theater at Monmouth. Is, is Monmouth, Vermont? I don't know if it's a city, but it's called Theater at Monmouth, and they do a lot of good Shakespeare over there. So that would be the reason I would want to go back to Vermont. Or if I just had a lot of money and could buy a cabin out there, because that's a great place to go get away. And it's like living in a village in the Alps. That's how it feels. Like everything is like so small towny.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would only go there if I wanted to get off the grid for a few months.
Do you prefer the big city vibe? I mean, like as an actor, that's kind of the default, right? Is like you're around lots of people, and auditions take place in big cities and things like that.
No.
But you prefer like small town feel, less people. Is that sort of your disposition?
I think so. I mean, I'm an introvert by nature, so I am more interested in, yeah, just being in harmony with nature. Like the beauty of like those trails that were there and just the quiet. I love that. I mean, no, I don't care for the city, man. It's dirty and there's crime and yeah, the industry's great and there's tons of opportunity and like really great friends. I have so many friends here in LA and in New York, all over the country, really. And yeah, I don't know, man. I wish I had enough money to like, if I was super rich one day, I would own a house like somewhere in the woods, that was super secluded, and then be able to, like, drive really fast to a nearby city. So Vermont is actually great because it's only 2 hours away from, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
or 4 hours from New York, I should say, but yeah.
Okay. Um, so it and just for some context, you were in Sarasota because you were completing your masters in
Yeah,
Florida.
what a crazy.
What was that experience? You know, because there were points where I considered. I remember graduating from Long Beach State and thinking, oh man, like I could just start auditioning now, or I could go for higher education. And I was very torn because I thought, well, maybe I won't be able to book anything unless I get higher education. And as someone who's actually gone through with it and experienced the whole thing, granted it was a little bit different towards the end because of the pandemic. If you'd like
Mm.
to share, sort of your experience with going to grad school for acting, I would love to hear it.
Yeah. It's funny because I never saw myself going to graduate school. When I graduated from Cal State Long Beach, I was like, I'm done. I'm never going back to school. And I auditioned for a year. So like right out of undergrad, I was basically working like a part-time job, security and transportation, things like that. And I had a, I did a lot of great gigs. I was also working as a stage manager at the Steve Allen Theater. I've worked at Tenacious D's festival and managed a couple acts there. I mean, I've done stage management for Bill Burr and like, Emo Phillips and Ron Lynch and Jack Black and like a lot of like A-list celebrities that would go to, this low key little theater on Hollywood Boulevard. Is it Hollywood Boulevard? Yeah. And man, like that was a great time, but I think deep down I was like, man, why am I'm wasting like so much of my time here, like just hustling, and I'm not doing the thing I love. And yeah, auditions come once in a while. Um, and then eventually on December 12th, my friend Adrian was shot and killed on his birthday in front of his grandmother's house in uh, Paramount, like off of Lakewood, near your house.
Yeah, my
And
condolences.
yeah, it's crazy. It was so long ago. And that was really what got me thinking like, man, like I'm wasting, my time. And so anyways, I was working as an accountant, a temporary accountant, I should say, for this company called Orange Twist in Costa Mesa, under this woman named Diora, who was the account manager. And so Orange Twist had like three branches. It's an aesthetic company. And if you don't know, aesthetics is like Botox and things like that for people who have a lot of money.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I learned a lot of valuable skills there, and I was like, this is a great job. I'm making 18 bucks an hour. I could work from home. I get to make my own schedule. I can audition on the side. But, like deep down, I was like depressed because I'm like, this isn't what I want to do. Like, I could wake up when I'm 40 years old and be really rich and be empty inside. And then, my buddy getting killed really kind of motivated me. I was like, dang, like life is way too short. Like, this could happen to me tomorrow. Why
Mhm.
am I still here? Like why I need something different. And so I quit. I was like, I told Dior, I was like, look, if you don't pay me 25 bucks an hour, I'm gonna have to like leave basically. And I want to do something more acting oriented. And she's like, no, I can't give you that much money. I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to go. So right at the end of December, I quit the job and saved my money and prepared for 2 months to audition for the Erdas. And that was a fantastic experience working with Hugh. He dedicated a month and a half of his time to just work with me, and I think there was 10 other of us, 10 others. It was yeah, man, I had like, 9 monologues in my pocket. And you get to the Erdas, I paid 500 bucks for the plane ticket and like the hotel. Like it was like the last of the money I had. And you go and you get to the Erdas. There's 40, 50 different universities there. Lots of them
Where
have
the
like
Ert is
full
located again?
so they host them in San Francisco, New York, and Chicago.
Okay.
And yeah, you get up there and you have 2 minutes to do a monologue in front of, 50 different schools, most of which offer full ride opportunities. And I was fortunate enough to get callbacks from 20 of them. And, with serious interest like UCI and Ohio State and Florida, Florida State, which was my number one pick. And I was like, I saw myself going. It was crazy. Like I saw myself going to Florida State. I like in my mind, I saw the apartment I would live at, like, all of these things that I was like, I'm gonna go and, like, do these things, and I actually did them. And yeah, that was crazy.
That's really awesome, man. I mean, like the fact that you visualized it beforehand and then followed through with it. What was it that made you want to go specifically to Florida?
Well, it was that, it's like a conservatory training, so it's very, like, acting focused, whereas a lot of the other programs are, like, teaching focused as well.
Oh, okay.
That's why I chose not to go to UCI with, my one of my best buddies, Malik, who ended up going there for his master's, which would have been crazy. Because imagine, like, 2 cents goes to freaking UCI, and then we, you know, do our thing together, but I was like, "Nah, man, like, I need to, like, go and do my own thing." And the real seller of the program for FSU was you get, $9,500 for the semester. So basically, you get paid $1,000 a month
Mm-hmm.
stipend, full ride tuition. You get to go to London at the end of your second year. And during your second year, you basically have like a whole main stage like season to yourself. And there's like a bunch of, donors, so I was like, "Man, like, that's the program to go to." Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to London. I didn't even get to do my freaking Shakespeare show because of COVID. Um, so a lot of the reasons I chose that program were ultimately, fell through.
And was your goal I know you do a lot of different stuff. So you've done a lot of stage, you've done film, you also make your own music.
Yeah.
Um it as far as acting goes, I know we've spoken about this a bit, but stage is your like primary passion, right?
No, I think it's just acting in general. I just want roles that I can dig into. I don't care much for commercials
Mm-hmm.
because to me that's not acting. It requires a level of acting, but
It's not like
no,
fulfilling.
no. No, not at all. Like, I wanna fully immerse myself psychologically into a character.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Alan? Good to see you,
Hey,
man.
man. Thanks for
Um,
coming through.
yeah, thanks for popping in. We're just hanging out and chatting right now. Chris is telling his story, so I hope you're having a good day, brother. Appreciate it. What's up, Panda? Good to see you as well. Man, it's the timing, dude. Everyone just comes through to say
Mm.
yeah, happy Saturday to you guys. Nicholas was playing on my well, I mean, it was probably important business that he was doing on your phone, so I totally understand. So it's all good. Um, yeah, so yeah, COVID, man, it threw a wrench in everyone's lives. I think we could safely generalize and say it threw a wrench in everyone's lives in some way, shape, or form. And I remember being really excited to go see you perform since you had booked in Shakespeare. So that
Yeah,
was
man. It's
yeah.
crazy. I was gonna play Romeo at the Selby Botanical Gardens, across from my girlfriend at the time,
Yeah.
who was gonna be playing Juliet. Didn't happen. I feel like it really, like, not only did it, like, really hurt me because, my relationship got messed up, but also, like, the opportunity and the press that I would have been around that show, like the amount of growth I would have experienced as an actor. Um, Fortunately, I was able to do one, full length show where I got to dive into two characters in the Andre project. Andre Malayev Babel was our head of acting and my acting mentor. He's the world expert in the Demidov School of Acting. He basically brought this acting technique from the dead. Like he looked into all of Stanislavski's work and, found this guy, Nikolai Demidov, who was the physiologist who was basically Stanislavski's main source of information. And so this guy who went to the Vakhtangov school in Russia, one of the it's like the best school in the US, it's the best school in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because his grandfather was actually Isaac Babel, a very famous Russian playwright and writer who is considered, I guess, like the most prominent writer of Russian Jewry, meaning of Russian Jews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, so this guy, comes from huge academic prestige, and to have trained under him in this technique that not many people know about was the real treat. Oh, and so I got off track. We worked on this lab project called Hang. This play called Hang by Debbie Tucker Green is there's three characters in this play, and so there was four people cast in this play: myself, my friend Kenny, my friend Liam, and my friend Nairi. There's only one female character in the play, so Nairi stood in that one role of character number three. And one and two are these two investigators that are basically here to help facilitate the execution of a man that has done something terrible to this woman. And this is, at a time and a place and that you can basically the death penalty is chosen. So she has to choose what the death penalty is. And what happened was Kenny, Liam, and myself, we all rotated, so we had to learn both roles, and we would do a rotation. So every other show, we were playing a different character. That was one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life because I had to learn 90 pages of script completely by rote, like no rehearsals. It was most of the rehearsal time we had was just working on learning the lines and scoring the text. It wasn't even like when I say like the attention to detail that was necessary for this script because there's like overlapping lines, there's punctuation that is super like strange sometimes. If we didn't do those things, then the story changed.
Mhm.
So that was at least I got to do that, you know? But,
Yeah, I remember you telling me like you were describing it as you were going through it, and it sounded like an incredibly grueling process of just the sheer amount of information you had to know in order to pull off this show was just absolutely insane. The fact that it wasn't just you weren't just learning a big role, but you're learning two, you know?
well, and really 3. I had to know character number three's lines too because she would monologue for, 4 or 5 pages at a time.
Yeah, so you need to know when she's wrapping up or when she's
Exactly. And
you know,
yeah,
when,
and every moment was completely, free for us to, be spontaneous and, creatively alive on stage. So if there was an impulse that I had while she was, you know, coming at us, or if she had an impulse, she would just come at us and like, things would change like all the time. There was no set blocking for this show.
okay.
It's
You mean
insane. Like
physically wise, like you guys could move in a way that you sort of saw fit?
exactly. Yeah, it was
Okay.
completely free. It was literally like everybody knows the lines perfectly, well, except for Kenny. I'm kidding.
Throwing some
And
shade.
have at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and trust your gut, and that's ultimately the staple of the Demidov technique is being an actor creator, giving yourself full freedom to do whatever you want to live as the character.
Mhm.
And if you don't do that, then you're not being true to yourself kind of thing, and the audience can feel that.
Yeah. It's crazy how many different techniques there are. You know,
Mm,
it's you think of acting as, you have your lines, you're either on camera, you're on stage, and then you're saying them, but the stuff that happens internally can come in the form of so many different methods, which you
mhm.
wouldn't think like as a layperson, standing to the side just observing, you know.
In
It's
in
it,
my opinion, the Demidov technique is, to my knowledge, the only fully organic acting technique. It's completely just relying upon the self being calm, taking your time, like full adherence to the given circumstances, and you never analyze or break down a script. It's just fully like absorbing it, and that means including the atmosphere. Like you have to be able to recreate the atmosphere. Like if it smells like dirt, like the audience should smell the dirt
mhm.
just from your energy that you're, projecting.
That's tough, man.
Well, and the difference to me, the difference between organic acting technique and like a crafted acting technique is like, okay, I'm gonna go beat by beat and craft every moment of my performance. So
Mhm.
I know exactly what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to repeat it perfectly, and it's going to seem absolutely spontaneous, right? Whereas Demidov is like completely like you are just living and whatever the fuck you want to do, you do it. And if you didn't do it when you wanted to do it, then you missed the train and you have to reset yourself in the moment and start again almost. You know, it's like it's weird because really the modern production doesn't allow room for the actor to live in that way.
Mhm.
It's all about the director. Matter of fact, Stanislavski was a director, he wasn't an actor. So everything that all of acting revolves around, Stanislavski is the father of acting, but he wasn't an actor's actor, he was a director, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's crazy because I remember in undergrad we would spend so much time in classes working on technique, preparing. When we had a show, we spent a lot of time in rehearsal, workshopping or uh, just as practicing essentially. And
Right.
then when I started auditioning for film roles regularly, like there's, there's no rehearsal. You just
Show up,
show
yeah.
up and you know your lines and you said them. Oh, they sound pretty good. All right, cool. We're moving on to the next
And
thing.
and really, I mean, the reason I think that works a lot better than rehearsing is because you can rehearse something to death.
Yes, you could. Yeah, totally. That's one of the notes that my director for Rome Cinematics gave me was I asked her. I said, can I edit these? And she goes, no, no, no. You want to hire someone else to edit them. And I said, why? And she goes, because you are going to overanalyze all the footage. You're going to edit the thing into oblivion, and it won't be as organic as if you have a neutral third party look at it and do it.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, cool. One less project for me to edit then, I guess. But it makes a lot of sense because if you, I mean, if you are, imagine you're creating your own show, like a play, and you're acting in it and you are like you want to be so prepared because you want it to be good, but you're just over preparing, then you lose that element of spontaneity, the one that you've been talking about so far. So it is kind of
Yeah.
a balance you have to find. It's also the same with like sports in a way. You have that process of what do you call it,
Watching
diminishing
film.
diminishing returns, where
Mm.
like if you practice something a lot, like that's good, but eventually you'll reach a point in that day's practice where you'll get worse because you're tired and you
Mm.
stop learning because your brain just can't take in any more information.
Right.
So it's actually better to stop and rest and
Yeah.
recuperate than to keep going because you're so like hell bent on
Oh
getting better at
man.
that thing.
It's so funny that you say the word rest because that is 100% key for actors and most of them don't even know it is we had this experience where we did I luckily I didn't perform that night, but they did a performance where it was Kenny, Liam, and Nairi. And Andre exploded at the end. He was like, "What have you been doing this whole time? What have I been teaching you? You did not rest." And like, dude went on for 30 minutes yelling at us because basically in his eyes, they hadn't rested enough, they weren't calm enough, and they were basically, completely out of it the whole time.
Yeah. What were they doing? Do you remember? Or what were you guys
I mean,
doing?
well, what were they doing? Um, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of lines that were getting, missed and dropped.
Oh,
A
okay.
lot of pushing. You know, it was
Pushing
a
and
lot of.
shoving. They're on stage literally
Well,
like
no, when I say pushing,
decking
I
one another.
mean, like really acting hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, like Nairi was getting trapped in like attacking the investigators instead of, like kind of like freely just explaining her truth. I don't know how to explain it. It's you had to have been there, and also it's been so long already. I mean, I remember we were like halfway through the rehearsal process when Kobe died. For
Oh,
context
that's
of
when.
time, that was January
Man, that was
2019.
January 2020.
2020 was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, holy
yeah.
crap. So, I mean, to me, that it seems like a lifetime ago. All that
It
work to learn those 90 pages of script, completely to perfection, they're gone now. Like, I don't know where they're at. Those guys.
I mean, that's okay because you do it and then you move on. It's kind of like a little death of self, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I think that's I've mentioned that in a song one time that I kill myself every night because I wake up a new person every day. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's true. I mean, you could even take that to like an hourly basis. Like we change throughout the
Mm-hmm.
course of the day. You know, we're not the same people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean,
Our
wait.
cells are literally decaying as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, if you can recognize like a lot of people have trouble with this, I think. You know, if I'm really hungry or I'm really tired and I start acting a certain type of way like obnoxious or irritable, usually I'm pretty good about realizing that I'm doing that and
Mm.
I'll either like I have to stop talking is one thing or change what I'm doing. Like it's if I'm trying a task that's kind of taxing and I'm not really equipped to do it right now, then I have to realize like, dude, this is probably not a smart idea at the moment. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people they're just like in it all the time. Like people are just in their emotions all the time. Like they're at Disneyland and it's 90 degrees and their child is crying and they're like it's like lash out at them their knee
Yeah.
jerk mentality is like, oh, you know, why do I have to deal with this right now? As opposed to, okay, it's 90 degrees. Yeah, little Susie has been going on and on for 45 minutes. It's kind of annoying, but she's a kid, so it's understandable. Um, and I wish more people would recognize that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's hard because you're saying that just from an outside perspective, but if you're I know you pretty well, like if you're in the middle of a game and you're like caught up in the moment of the game, like
Oh yeah,
what are you
yeah,
doing, Chris? And it's just like that's how it goes. We're humans. And not
absolutely.
everybody's perfect at, controlling their emotions.
No, I don't. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's perfect at controlling their emotions. I think most. I think everyone has. Well, I mean, no one is perfect to begin with, and um, emotions are something that sort of like they can come over you sometimes, like almost like an infection. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Where you're not. It it comes back to that phrase of you're not yourself, and it's because you've been possessed of something else, like
Mhm.
something outside has entered you. So
Well, but really that's been inside of you the whole time. It's
yeah,
just, you
yeah.
know. I'm curious, what questions you actually, because I know, we were just talking about grad school a little bit. I don't know that, I don't know what else to really offer us, it was a lot. It was a big experience. So, that would take a whole 10-hour stream
Wait,
probably
if
to
you were, I was
fully
gonna say,
cover.
if there was one thing that you took away, and doesn't have to be something like scholastic that you got or academic, but just the experience of auditioning, getting an offer, going to Florida, going through the experience, having to deal with COVID, not being able to do a show, everything combined. What would you say is the one lesson that you took now that you're here again in LA? What is the one thing you took away from those years of experience that you now have under your belt?
Hmm,
I know that's a big
that's hard.
question, but you know,
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be like deep or profound. Usually
Yeah,
like,
I'm
yeah.
thinking. I'm thinking. Hmm. I think it was that. Well, I learned to be a lot calmer than I used to be. I don't know if you even remember how I used to be before.
Shoot, I don't even remember how I used to be before.
Exactly. Um, so calm, keep calm and sail on kind of thing, but also like, I'm a lot stronger than I probably ever realized. Like I went through a whole scenario where this girl that I, really loved came after me through the Title IX system and tried to accuse me of, raping her, which was completely false. And it was like, that was scarring and painful. But at the same time, the whole time it was going on, like, even though I was in a shit ton of pain and like super depressed, I was pretty fucking calm about it. Whereas like, I tell a lot of my friends, like I've talked to Malik or, maybe talk to you and, you guys will say like, I don't know how you did it. Like I'd be losing my shit right now kind of thing.
Mhm.
And
Uh,
so that's
yeah.
the most valuable thing I took away is like you gotta be the center of the storm, and the center of the storm is absolutely calm.
Yeah, it's almost like you had so much going on, it's overwhelming, so many overwhelming things happening that uh you can't you can't lose it. Like you can't freak out. You have to be relaxed. Because if you panic, then that panic is going to be so debilitating and paralyzing that you're just not going to do anything. So yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that is
and
a good
and
lesson.
there's a lot of days where I didn't do anything, and maybe that's what I needed to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of times where you just can't. You need to stop for a little bit.
The other thing I would say my takeaway, I'm like looking back like on a negative side, like I wish or like I'm now realizing like how often I sell myself short by not committing enough of myself to like working a lot harder.
What? Tell me how those two. So how is selling yourself short related to not
Well,
working? Are you saying that you
I'm
shouldn't
saying
work?
like No, I'm saying like for example, like say like maybe we had an exercise that like or like a project due for like class or something, and I didn't, maybe I didn't spend as much time as I could have on preparing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean by like I'm selling myself short by not giving more attention to detail, more time or more effort into things. So that was one thing that I wish I could have brought more to the table in grad school. Like I feel like and it's also maybe because of the counterparts I was with that like a lot of them were very I don't know, just really academic and oftentimes I got the feelings that like, they kind of look down on people sort of thing, if they weren't um I guess working to the same standard as them
Mm-hmm.
or whatever that meant in their minds. Um but, that's still I still wish that I don't know, put more effort or, like, done more. Like, I don't know if you ever look back at, like, Cal State Long Beach or at high school, and you're like, "Damn, like, I wish I had been, more like how I am now," or, like, more willing to have fun or just, yeah, more applied.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Totally. Yeah, there are
Yeah.
moments where I look back where there was an opportunity and I didn't take it, and I wish I had at
Mhm.
certain points. Why do you think you don't put in as much work as you think you should?
Mm.
Like in those
Um,
moments when you know that you should be working on something else. What's the thing that's pulling focus for you?
well, at that time, I think it was, wanting to smoke weed and play video games to decompress just from the intensity of just training throughout the day. But like, imagine you go through like an 8-hour day of like serious, like emotional and physical and intellectual training. And then you also have to like do a bunch of like, difficult work, like, that's still self-exploratory, like, journaling or like, working on a, Shakespeare monologue and then also a movement composition piece and then also like like a scene for your voice class. And it's like all of that is like I'm already like so depleted emotionally and physically and psychologically that I don't want to apply myself so much. I just want to like rest and like play some freaking video games with my friends, or watch a movie. And looking back, I'm like that wasn't the time for me to do that. I should have, you know, broken the TV or thrown it off the balcony and just been way more dedicated and just accepted that I was tired and trudge forward anyway. Just because, I'm never gonna get a grad school experience again.
But you do need some form of decompression, right? I mean, if you
Absolutely, yeah,
if you
yeah.
didn't have your TV or anything to play games, like what would you've done in lieu of that, like when you needed to
Well,
rest,
I
you
could
know?
have read. I could have read. I could have read so much more. And I have so many books. I could still do it. But I didn't do it then, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a lifelong journey that you're on, and I mean that's
Hmm.
you could say that's another valuable learning experience you got from it. It's like not just about like you should have done more, but maybe you were doing everything you could, and then that was the threshold of work that you could accomplish for the day, and then you needed to rest. And I this is something that I've been working on with myself is like having a really high expectation of what I'm going to accomplish for the day, but then falling short of it. Like, okay,
Hmm.
well, let's just be honest with ourselves and go, maybe you can't do all of that today. You just like
Exactly.
maybe someone else with this different brain could, but that's not me. So, um, like it's sort of like I couldn't power lift a certain weight like with my current physique. So I'm not going to hold myself to that standard.
Yeah.
If like literally started day one of lifting right now, what would be realistic and feasible, and how do I not get pissed off at myself because I can't do more than that? And that's a hard sort of gauge to keep track of because one, it's invisible, and two, it's always moving. So,
Right.
you might find that you're more capable. And like, how do you get more capable unless you push yourself and you are disappointed with what you're doing? So,
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, is like I mean, my background experience, like I've always been really hard on myself because I don't know, I'm an only child and first generation American, so I always feel a shit ton of pressure. Matter of fact, I wanted to bring this up. I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard of only child syndrome?
no.
I haven't like I wanted to research it before I got on here so I could talk about it. So I'm not gonna do it now, but um I wonder, to what extent that has played or affected my life. But there's a thing called only child syndrome. Um I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I heard about it.
I
Somebody was
can I
talking
can
about
pull
it.
it up on stream. Um, oh, I need sides.
Yeah. Okay. So in short, according to Wikipedia, it's those who have no siblings are more likely to have less developed social skills and antisocial tendencies that have carried on from childhood. But there was an element of just of feeling burdened and feeling like I have like a big responsibility to my family. That's more of like the route I was thinking of it as.
Sorry, say
And I
that
think
last
that's
just last sentence one more time.
of I said there's more like of an element of feeling like, kind of burdened by responsibility, like to the extent like I feel like I need to accomplish a lot of things for my family. Um and and sometimes that feeling of like I have to like, get to this certain point is actually to my detriment. It actually slows me down
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it,
it
it makes
can.
me hard on myself and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, it's motivating, but
Hmm.
if you're like, I want to do 100 things today, and you're like, there's no way I'm gonna do 100, and you do zero, zero is less than two. Like you could have done two if you had not
Hmm.
held yourself to 100.
Exactly.
Um, so make you more anxious to give your own child. Yeah, there's a line in here that I just read. What was it? Being called spoiled. Wonder if that has anything to do with it. Because you like I remember hearing that as a kid, like, oh, you're an only child. Oh, you must be so spoiled. And like it's true, I get the full attention of both my parents. Um, but then there is that, and I know this is not the case with everyone. I think there are some only children that are resentful, and I think it depends less on them being an only child and more on the relationship they have with their parents. But um, I felt a responsibility to give back to them for like the care that they provided for me in the best
Hmm.
way that I possibly could. I part of the reason why I got into acting was because, well, if I'm gonna do something, it might as well be something that can really like get me in a comfortable place in life. Because I'm not interested in doing just like a regular 9 to 5 job.
Hmm.
And I wanted to reach my potential, even though that'll never happen. I mean, looking back, it was like I want to reach my potential and work as hard as I possibly could. And in the event that I'm successful, I'll be so successful that I can not only take care of myself, but I can easily take care of my parents. Was a
Of
huge
course.
motivating factor for me. And I think that
Hmm.
comes from the fact that I spent, a childhood just it was pretty great. I'm not going to lie. It was really good. This stuff mentioning the social aspect, I do feel that in certain circles, okay? So when I was younger, it wasn't really a problem. I guess the real issue was like I mean, I was always geeky. Like I had big round Harry Potter glasses, and I played video games at a very young age. And I think back when I was 6 or 7 years old, it wasn't as socially acceptable as it is now. I mean, it still has a little bit of stigma to it now, but definitely
Hmm.
worse back then. And so I never felt like I was a popular kid or anything like that. I
Right.
felt like I was just a little dweeb. Um, where
Mm.
was I going with that? Oh, social stuff. And then as I got older, like socializing in high school wasn't really that much of a problem, but then in college it became pretty debilitating. Like in certain circles, I was just fine. Like I could talk to
Absolutely.
anyone.
Yeah.
But in others, like even if I go to something right now, like it might be 2 hours of me sitting there by myself saying nothing to anyone if I don't know anyone, unless I make that tiny effort to connect with someone. And
Hmm.
my dad, he was kind of the same way as well. In certain circumstances, you could really get him talking. But if he was in an environment where he wasn't talking to anyone, like it was awkward silence. Just think I inherited a little bit of that.
Yeah, same. I mean, yeah, for me, like, I'm a more like a small groups kind of person or just like one-on-one kind of person, but like a large group is a little too much for me to really um process to the point where I'll involve myself, with the larger group conversation or whatever. I don't know. I feel like I get kind of lost. There's also like the conversation of feeling like an empath, like I don't know if you know what that is. Like
Someone
someone
who
who
is empathetic.
well, yeah, but more so like to the extent where like sometimes I come into contact with people and I almost like feel like whatever they're feeling rubs off onto me.
So
And I
you
think
so if they're feeling a negative energy, then you start feeling that.
sometimes, yeah, depending. And it really just depends on how conscientious I am of, said energy or like just being observant because, if I'm not, then it will affect me, without me even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um but and I think that's the reason I've always wanted to be an actor. Is like I've always felt things really strongly, for no particular reason.
Mm-hmm.
Things just kind of come. Yeah. But anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I mean acting is it's weird because it's one of those things that like I mean I can trace back specific inklings of memories that I had that was like, "Oh, okay, I can see why I'm doing this now." But there's a lot of people who get into acting because they're I've heard people say this because they didn't get attention or they didn't receive enough attention, and this is their way of coping, I guess, or their way of
Yeah,
getting it.
I think that's it for me as well, to a certain extent, for sure. Yeah, I don't feel like I got much attention from my parents as a kid just because they were too busy working all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they definitely paid attention to me, and I'm sure I was, I definitely got spoiled to certain extents, but there's also, a lot of the opposite of that too. So,
Hmm. It's just funny because like it didn't start off that way for me, but as I got more into it, it became more of a thing. Like I totally like I there is a certain I mean, you know how it is with social media, like the little endorphin rush you get when you post something or you share something and people react to it and they're like, this looks really cool, and it receives
Mm.
a certain level of praise or encouragement. Like that can
Mm-hmm.
be really, really addictive sometimes. Um,
Man, I think one of the best ones that I think you and I have actually shared was doing Big Fish
mm-hmm.
with Rebecca. Like I just I will always remember so vividly, like at the end when I, walk out carrying you and like
Oh
just seeing
man.
like a blue light like cast across this audience of must have been 120 people
Yeah.
packed into this room that should have only fit 50, and like all these tears, like just crying, like all these people just fucking sobbing,
Oh my
you know.
god. That was the most that experience changed me. Like full stop. It completely it I went from never having ever had a significant having a significant role. I know every role is significant in a show, but like
Yeah.
a lead role or anything that felt like it mattered to a show, I went
Mm.
from never having that to, oh my god, I can do this. Not only
Mm-hmm.
can I do it, but I can do it well. Like people aren't laughing at me. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the ensemble and maybe you don't know your choreography very well, it's kind of easy to like you can blend in and you like you can look off someone else, but it was the first time ever that I had to do something different than everyone else in the show. And
Mm.
if I did, I remember like being the what was it, the bus driver for All
Mm-hmm.
Shook Up, and that was the only moment where I had a line for a second, and like I stood out on stage, and I was so nervous to go say that
Mm.
one line, and then I was having horrible, horrible anxiety attacks. After the first couple rehearsals of Big Fit, like body was going completely numb and just like, oh my god, what have I got? I can't do this.
You know, it's weird. I still feel like I have never gotten that yet. That feeling of like being like a real lead yet. I don't feel like I've gotten there yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though you've had, dude, honestly, like in high school when you guys did what was that one where you're in the I don't want to say the dust bowls, but like there's no water, and then
Oh
what
yeah. That was the Diviners.
the
I was like
diviners.
the father.
Oh my god, I was like, dude, that I don't think I've ever had any role with an intense level of acting as that. Like I feel like you could get booked a feature just from that. And maybe you don't
Mm.
feel the same way because you were in it, you did it in high school, and you're like, you know, all the mistakes that are there. But I remember going and seeing it twice. I went and saw it once, and I was like, oh my god. And then I brought my mom the second time, and we both cried watching the
Mm.
Diviners. I was like, holy crap, I could never do that. What you guys did on that stage. That was
No, that was a good show, man.
that was
I didn't
amazing.
feel like I was a lead there. I definitely, that was like a supporting role for sure. I was the father who, ends up losing his kid.
Mm-hmm.
When I say like a lead, like I mean like a tragic hero. Like like I've never done Hamlet
Like
fully.
Romeo, like
Like
what you were.
Romeo, like, I
Yeah,
didn't get
you
to
were
do
gonna
it.
do Romeo,
Every
but you
time I'm
got it
about to,
though.
something takes it.
But you got it
Uh,
though.
it doesn't matter though. That doesn't matter to me. The doing is what matters to
Yeah,
me.
I hear you. I hear you. What's up,
Like right
Elias?
now, like,
Oh,
hey
sorry.
man, what's up?
Go
We
ahead,
gotta
dude.
hang out soon, Elias. For real. I miss
Um,
you, dude.
Elias says Steve mattered. Oh my god, dude.
Steve?
The great mage Steve.
Who's that?
That was
Phantom Tollbooth?
she kills monsters. No, that
Oh.
was the
Oh
show.
yeah.
That was the
That's right.
last show I did at Long Beach State.
That was a good show. It was funny as hell.
Yeah, it was a good show. It was a great experience. I loved my cast, but I did not love my role. I mean, I had fun with it. I played it fullest to the best of my ability, and I knew what the role required. But was it something I was passionate about? Hell no. Hell no.
Mm.
There were some cool moments in there where I got to do, it's like kind of a gimmick at this point. Like, oh, let's cast the guy who knows how to do flips to do
Right,
flips,
right.
and like die in hilarious ways. Which is, I mean, that's cool. It's kind of a leg up, I guess. But that was the whole. I mean, I like acting. I like telling the story. I like embodying the character. I don't want to just be a set piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I
So,
want to be the character that the story revolves. Like, I want to be like an Othello or a Richard, King Richard III, or like Romeo. Like those characters that like the whole story completely revolves around, and if you fuck up, then you fucked up the whole story. Like that. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that pressure. Something about that, having to live
Stakes,
up to the spirit of that character. Yeah, that's
dude,
where
and,
it's at for
and
me.
everyone thinks you're big dog after the show's over.
It's fine. I don't even care about that. And well, I probably used to for sure. I definitely used to, especially in college. I was like, oh, like, like college for me was like every show that I did, I was like, okay, I'm getting better and I'm getting closer to them giving me a lead role.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I just want to live in the character's shoes so fully that I completely forget myself.
Hmm.
That's all I really want.
I mean, that's hard, man. And acting is hard too, because it's not like acting is not like Halo. Okay, if I wanted to afterwards, I could get off of this stream. I could launch Halo. I could play some ranked and get better. I could get better right now, and it's
Oh, I know where you're
very
going with
clear.
this, and I'm
It's
gonna say I
very
disagree already.
clear. But with acting, what am I gonna do? Stand in my living room and like
No, what you're gonna
listen?
do is you're gonna go find a monologue and you're gonna learn it, and then work on it
That's
until you
fair.
can
That's fair. Yeah,
cry on cue.
you could do a monologue, and but what
You
is
can learn
your
a whole play, dude.
but what is your gauge? Just knowing it, or like how do you get the feedback of
No, I would
improvement?
say the feedback of improvement to me is I know the material so well that I'm fully able to immerse myself in the character and I'm not thinking about how well I'm doing it. I'm just doing it 100%, intuitively.
Hmm. Okay.
And it's that when like once you're free in the role, then you're good at the role.
But don't you have to have an audience in order for that to manifest?
No, you have to assign the audience. So like if you're in the room, like you just, assign like this fucking camera, for example,
Mm-hmm.
is watching me, or like the lamp
Oh,
is
I see
watching
what you
me,
mean. Yeah.
you know or I like to actually, it's funny because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to watch myself, or like, don't rehearse in the mirror. I feel like I get most in tune with myself in a role when I rehearse in the mirror, because
Really?
like I'm yeah, because I'm seeing if I'm faking it or not.
I've
I'm
actually
100% accountable.
I don't think I've ever re- not that I don't think I've ever rehearsed in a mirror, unless it was in 241 where we had that huge mirror in there.
Dude, like there's nothing to me, there's nothing like, just like getting really fucking close to the mirror and like looking yourself in the eyes and like really like talking to you like at the deepest level. There's
Oh,
nothing
okay, yeah, yeah.
like that.
I
There's
well,
nothing like that.
I have yeah, I guess I have done something sort of like if I'm in the bathroom and I'm having like a moment, then yeah.
That's what I mean. And
Yeah.
and that's all acting is, you're just another human being having a moment.
Elias says I felt that with Shrek. When I was Shrek, it's like I wasn't even acting. I was totally absorbed into his world.
Oh,
Also, Chris, your biceps looking beefy.
thanks, baby.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's talk about music, dude. That's the grind you've been on.
Oh
Dude,
man.
you've been out here working hard. What's going on?
I just want to cry.
Dude,
And I'm not letting myself cry, so I just put it into music.
you just cry on camera right now, and we'll crop the video so it doesn't look like you're doing an interview, and you just submit that. You be good to go. It's crying with no context.
I could.
Um. Okay. So why do you want to cry but you don't? And you put it in your music.
Well, now I'm gonna cry if I talk about it.
We can talk about something else. It's up to you. We don't have to talk about music.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's your stream, so it's really up to you if if you want me to ground it or not. Okay.
You will cry.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know, man. It's just I'm staring at this piece of paper that is like a circle of emotions, and it goes, like happy, sad, disgusted, angry, fearful, bad, surprised, and then there's like an outer circle, and it's like more kind of adjectives describing those same emotions, and then another outer circle, even more expansive. Um,
Did you make
I don't know
that?
why I'm telling you that. No, no, no. I was given this paper by my film acting teacher, Daryush Kashani, at FSU. The reason I don't know, I think I'm just really fucked up, man, like from losing those opportunities that we mentioned earlier, like losing that relationship. Like, I still miss her. I still like look at her Instagram sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm also still like, trying to find my sound in music. Like I love Little Peep, like I love his music
Mm-hmm.
and being able to like I guess make my own version of it or like make the version of like the music that he could have kept making like or trying to find that.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting to me. No, I think ultimately my pursuit with music is like I'm going to die one day, and if I leave, like my soul encapsulated in sound, I'll
Mm-hmm.
never really be dead.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of immortality that lives on through your work. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
about that. I think about that too. When I look at all of the little projects that I've worked on, or even when I look at the headshots that I've made, I think,
Yeah.
well, if I have grandkids, they'll have a high resolution image of what I actually looked like when I was this age.
Yeah, they'll be like, What is this? Like, why is it like this? Why isn't it a hologram?"
Well, yeah, right, right. Why is it not all? Yeah, because I mean, you look at pictures of your grandparents or people who came before you, and I mean, they're not as you can't always see them very clearly. Uh, so it's nice to have that little memento going forward to remember this moment in your life, and I know this probably doesn't help, but those things, those opportunities that you had, um, one, they were a learning experience, of course, and two, they were those were out of your hands. You didn't
Yeah.
you lost you didn't act through no fault of your own. It was something that quite literally changed everyone's lives,
Yeah.
and you
It
know
doesn't help though.
and to be frank, you might have had that experience, and it wouldn't have met the expectations that you're having of it right now. It would have been another thing, like another great experience, kind of like going to grad school in general is just a great experience. But if you had done that role, it might not have had the effect that you might be idealizing it to be, like, oh, it's going to get this publicity and it's going to
Well, even
project
that
me.
stuff aside, for me, it's just having been able to have done it. It's
Yeah.
like to have just performed outside in the garden, and if some people watch, that's great. But like, really, for me, is like just I think the more I would have done the show, the more alive I would have become with the character, and that's really like what I'm always looking for with acting.
Hmm.
Music is so difficult because it's there's so many people making music, and then me personally, I and I think everybody does this to a certain extent is like, you compare yourself and you shouldn't. And I know this shit. And, there was a big thing in grad school. Actually, that's another big takeaway from grad school. Don't live in comparison.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, it's like this dude, I don't know if you heard of That's Dax or AKA Dax.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, he just dropped a 20-minute rap where he didn't stop. It was insane. Well filmed, like the lyricism, the metaphors, it's just out of this world. And then I see that I'm like, I'm capable of that, you know, and I'm like, why am I not holding myself to that standard? not only musically, but also like on a human level. Like, like he's in like in a really great shape.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's completely independent and has like grinded the shit out of his career just to get to 1 million followers. And he's really a fucking genius in my eyes. Like I think he might be one of the best, if not the best rapper right now, and completely slept on. And that tells you so much about this industry. It's so fickle. Like you have to, like he even talked about. He's like in that rap. You basically have to go catch a case for anyone to fucking care about your music.
Yeah, being
You know.
controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of why I'm also making alt music is more like I want to sing more and just blend the hip hop. But then like when I hear like really fucking moving poetic hip hop, I'm like, dude, that's what I used to live for, and I still do. Like I love the poetry and the intense lyricism. I love all that, and I need to get back to that. In fact, I have a song that I haven't even put out yet that is in that realm, like the political tone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it actually, I was watching that and it woke me up a bit, and I was like motivated, and I was like, man, like I could be doing so much more. And you think of like all the things that you do that take away from the energy you could be putting in. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about like, oh, how many hours do I spend looking at Instagram or like, going on Tinder and swiping around looking for somebody, like
Mm-hmm.
these things that I do to fill the holes of where I'm not filling myself, by you know, creating or working out or whatever. It's like why am I trying to fill the hole with something external where I have the power to fill myself?
Well, because those things are more instant like
Exactly.
you can get a quick fix off of doing those things that you just described.
And ultimately, but it's not a fix because it's delayed gratification. It's like, okay, like yeah, instant gratification, and then you're also like you're prolonging like I don't know.
Well, if you work on your music, it's going to be hard work now, and you might not experience the gratification of doing it until one, a song is done, and then when if the song ever gets enough recognition where you feel like, oh, okay, this is progressing my career in a way that I find satisfactory, that takes more effort than just scrolling, right? Like,
Of course, yeah.
you can just do that instantaneously, like with zero effort. Like you have
Yeah,
your phone sitting next to you.
the reason I said delayed gratification is and I know that's the wrong term to use, but it's like, okay, yeah, like I scroll for the instant gratification, but if I don't like fucking snap out of that habit, I'm gonna keep repeating that habit, and like then I'll. So I should say that it's like never gratification. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I don't know
it's
what I'm
like a
trying to say.
phantom It's like you want to stay up on what everyone is doing, and so you get. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it, but you see what's going on and you get that fix, I guess, but then you actually end up feeling worse because you get a small sense of FOMO, like you're not doing what you should be, and other people are doing everything that they should be, which is
Sure,
BS because
comparison. It's
everyone,
comparison.
yeah, it's comparison too, um, and it's not real because those people have their own issues and they're probably experiencing the same thing that you're describing as well. But it's hard.
Hmm.
That like one thing that the approach I've taken to social media is, to me, it's just an extension of work. Like I'll go on, and the only like pleasure scrolling I'll do is if I want to see what you or Panda or like people who I talk to immediately are up to. And usually when I'm looking at stories and stuff, I will reply pretty regularly because I want to um I want there to be an actual interaction rather than me just observing what's going on. And then when I go on there to post, it either acts as like a diary for me to share my experience of the day, or it's something related to what I'm working on, whether it's the stream or it's film related. Because as soon as I dip into that realm of sharing every like tiny individual aspect of my life, then it becomes more cumbersome than it does useful. And then the comparison stuff sets in, and you're like, oh,
Mm.
I'm my posts are not getting enough engagement, they're not getting enough likes, why does no one care about me? The job of you is just to put it out there and then forget about it and like start working on the next thing, because that's really
Yeah.
all you can control. Those other elements are just, that's up to people if they, want to double tap on that picture you put there. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I just I listened, like I said, I listened to that song by Dax, and then I go back and listen to like 2 or 3 songs that are still in process. I'm like, "This is shit." Like, scrap it. You know?
mhm.
Start over. But really, I mean, those songs that I'm saying are shit are they're their own songs, and they're unique. No one's ever heard them. No one's ever arranged the melodies and that those beats or and those lyrics in the same way, and so it's its own thing, and I can't compare it.
Yeah, it's its own thing. And also, you were talking about Lil Peep earlier. Dax and Lil Peep don't sound totally
Not at all.
alike. Yeah, so to write a song inspired by Lil Peep and then compare it to Dax is like kind of apples and oranges in a way,
Right,
you know?
right. Same, like, I have, like, a Trippy Red type song that I'm gonna put out soon, and I was like, "Okay, like, the bars are hard in this, but it's, like, not as hard as Dax's."
Mhm.
But, yeah, it's apples to oranges because, I'm singing so much more in that song than trying to just, like, rap for 20 minutes?
I
So,
honestly, I would say just make crappy music and put it out there. Yeah, like I
that
know.
sounds good.
Yeah, because like
It's all crappy
everything
anyway.
everything I learned from making YouTube content was stop caring about whether or not your content is good and just hit the post button. Just hit the post button. You say you want to put something out every Friday, put something out every Friday. Is it trash? Maybe. Put it out on every Friday. And that's like because inevitably you will get better. It's the consistency that will make you better. It's not, oh, it didn't quite hit the mark, so I'm not going to release it this time. It's actually the act of doing that will force you to improve over time.
Yeah,
Um, an I sorry, I missed this, Elias. A new Juice
I've
World
seen that.
song got released. But it's crazy because it's literally like he wrote those lyrics post mortem. I haven't heard it yet.
I have like a song that I just wrote that I envision people listening to after I'm dead, and I imagine he did the same thing. Like, and this dude was recording all the time, Juice World. So I'm sure like he's got thousands of songs that are completely, just sitting on a hard drive somewhere. Maybe people haven't even stumbled upon yet. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's how I write my music too. Is like I write it for people to listen to after I'm dead. So I'm imagining he probably was thinking the same. Maybe
Yeah,
not,
and,
but
and, and the key thing here too is that if you really enjoy producing a certain type of art, at the end of the day, the reward comes from the catharsis of putting it out there in the world. Okay, like some people get into music or they get into streaming or they get into acting because they think it's easy and they think it'll make them a ton of money, which
mm,
it's neither of the. I mean, depends what point you hit. Like they're looking at celebrities, and it is kind of easy once you're a
depends
celebrity
how lucky
because
you
you're
are.
you're a hot commodity. When you are literally a valuable
People
product when
cater
you're a
to you.
celebrity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you do make a lot of money because you are a valuable product. And so
Work
they
begets
people
work.
people see that and they think, well, I'm gonna be that. And they have no idea. How unbelievable, like the odds of that happening are so unbelievably low that it's not even funny. And so everyone who is an artist and does it and grinds and does so knowing that they're not going to get that type of recognition, maybe not now, maybe not ever. They're doing it because the feeling of putting it out there is the end goal. When
Mm.
Jesse used to come over and visit, I would save little clips on my computer of like moments that happened during games. and he'd be at the TV. I'm like, hang on, let me throw this up on the TV. I want to show you this funny moment that happened. And to me, the enjoyment was seeing his reaction to that stuff. So I was like, dude, what are you doing? Just start posting it. That way, as many people can see it as want to see it.
Right.
And even if it meant 5 people saw it, it was the fact that it was out there that was the victory. And a lot of people get burnt out on acting or being an artist because they're like, oh, I'm not popping off yet. Like I'm not reached that, I haven't reached that level of accolade or fame that I want to be
Right.
at. And yeah, I experienced that plenty of times because I know it's possible. It's just, it feels like it's out of reach sometimes, but you just have to remember that the the goal and the reward comes completely within your control. It's just creating it and putting it out there. Even if it's not amazing, as long as you're sharing an authentic piece of yourself, then you know, someone out there can appreciate that.
100%.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack that moment real quick. Um,
No, no worries. You're
um,
right.
so that's music. Trying to think what else. Oh well, you worked on the project. I might as well ask you since I asked Shane and I asked Abigail. I want to hear what is one moment that you recall, or what was your impression working on Trap God 3 4 years ago?
My impression working on Trap God. Hmm. I thought it was really interesting because I wasn't familiar necessarily with like the concept of what you were trying to do, and I was really trying to wrap my head
Neither
around it.
was I.
No, but I was really trying to wrap my head around it, and to a certain extent, like I felt like it really resonated. Like I knew where you were going with it, and like I felt like part of me was in it somehow, or like not like in the pro, but I mean like whatever you're trying to recreate, like I felt like or create. I mean, I don't know, like I just feel connected to that sort of world, even something about like dark trap and just like dark shit, I guess. I mean, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm putting out music that's, emo trap. That's like dark. So I feel like I don't know. It's crazy because I still feel like I'm striving towards being a trap god these days.
I mean, you kind of are.
uh,
It's in the thumbnail.
I know. So
Did I tell you like did I describe to you what your character was on the day of the shoot? Or, like what I had it, what my thought
yeah, I
process was?
remember you saying it was like imagine like you're like super like rich in this dystopian world, I think. But you're like even though you're really rich, you're like super depressed or something. I don't really remember.
Well, it was you're sad because you have everything figured out and you realize no one else understands.
Right, right.
Like people just
Yeah, oh,
don't
and then I
get it.
remember you telling I remember telling you I was like, "Oh, so just like how my normal life is." I'm kidding.
No wonder you're able to connect with it so well. There you go.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was effortless. And it was fun. I remember, these are the days when we hung out with Ponce, and
It
it was
looked
always a
effortless, dude. It like you on camera in that moment, like walking on in that alley, like the vibe and the that
yeah.
was,
I remember
you embodied
wishing I
that.
could have been more involved. I think, and I still wish I could be more involved with your project somehow. But that's where wherever your vision. I have to respect wherever your vision is going. I can't be selfish about it. That's just me wanting to be like involved in everything.
Yeah, I mean that. To be honest, like there were people who were in that project for. Was anyone in it for more than a day? I don't remember. I think actually, you had, so you were there at at the theater, and then did a
Hmm.
couple shots of my house.
Yeah.
And then you know, it's weird to think like Amy and Priscilla were actually in it, but they were only in one shot. And huge shout out
Yeah.
to Amy for letting us use that space because it was really awesome time. Yeah, I mean, and then Sibo was in it. I was just like, hey, can you come through and film today? And she was like in a couple shots. So yeah, I didn't really have like a specific idea for who was going to be in it for the most amount of time. It was just like I want to get as many people as I can that I know and are willing to work on this to show up. Sabby was supposed to be in it, Malik was supposed to be in it, but they weren't able to.
Yeah.
Um so there were actually few of my free running friends were supposed to be in it and then they weren't. Um but yeah, it was that to me that project was the perfect example of like doing something that from the standpoint of someone who wants to like build a resume, it makes no sense, but because they thoroughly enjoy a certain like they have a thought, they have a feeling and they want to put it out there in the world, that was that project 100%.
Mm-hmm.
That was like
Mm-hmm.
that was honestly like as authentic as I could make it. So yeah, it was.
Like,
I mean, that was a great experience. Like, I'm so happy that you were able to do it, and everyone who came on board was, they're like, what the hell is going on? All right, cool. He told me to stand here. I'm just gonna do that. Like,
yeah, that's
I don't.
basically how it felt. It felt kind of just like, show up, do the thing, and move
Yeah.
on.
Mm.
Which I think that's best case scenario because anytime things are interesting on set, then something's wrong. If it's boring and kind of
Standard
what's the word?
procedure.
Yeah, quotidian, like then it's good. That means things are moving smoothly. At least that's what I learned. Definitely, like that was one of the big takeaways of working on set in Vermont. Was like if there's like today's fucking interesting. Oh man, it was hectic. It
Uh,
was rough. Like
yeah.
and then the days where everybody was bored and sitting around, it's like oh we're done early today.
Yeah, everything went according to plan for sure. Yeah, every day in Brazil was interesting, and I
Oh
would
shit,
go as far as to say it was a little too interesting. More,
I'm sure.
uh, dude, I won't get into that.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, let's
but
not.
uh, kind of.
Do you have any other questions that you wrote down?
Yeah. So what does the present look like for you now, and what does the like? I read this question the other day, and I wanted to phrase it in this way because I really liked it. What are you hopeful for in the future?
So I hope I get a job next week. No,
What's coming up that you're hope like excited about?
ooh, yeah, a lot of things. I guess we could talk about this on stream, because we talked about it recently. So Lane got back to me, and so did Hugh O'Gorman from Cal
Okay.
State Long
Oh, so
Beach.
you did reach out to
I did, yeah, of
okay.
course. I think the day after we had that conversation, I
Oh,
emailed him.
okay. Awesome.
So Lang is currently he's gonna open a show in December. So he's in the thick of like, getting the production together and they have rehearsals Monday through Wednesday. But he was like, visit me anytime, call me anytime. And we have to do a show in April and I have no idea what the show's gonna be. So I'm partially hopeful that there might be a possibility that I could maybe be a little earworm and pick the show and hopefully maybe I could help direct it or,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
facilitate it. Um, and then Hugh is also in the thick of the shit, and he said he won't be busy. He won't be free until like mid
He won't be
December.
busy.
He won't be busy. He won't. Yeah, he won't be busy until mid December, right? Um, so I'm looking forward to catching up with him and kind of getting some guidance and knowledge on how to build my resume and experience and just credits to being an acting professor and acting coach because I have a terminal degree in that shit now and it's like let me get a job with that shit now so I don't have to go
Hmm.
do a 9 to 5 that I don't give a fuck about. um but ultimately, yeah, the present is looking like I need to get some form of income so that I can start paying off debt and also allocating money towards things like acting classes, BJJ, grocery, rent, things like that.
Sure.
So I think those are the next steps. So in the next 2 weeks, I think I'll have those things lined up and kind of ready. I will probably call Lang today and be like, "Hey, like, do you need help with anything with this production that's about to happen? Let me know," kind of thing. I want to, I wanted to get in there, man. I want to get back to doing acting. I want to. I have a music video idea for that song that just came out the other day, Angels, featuring Jesse Truelove. Go
Mm-hmm.
check it out. It's on Spotify now. So that'll be cool to. I just have to write the script, but the music video idea is very clear in my head. I mean, I have a lot of music video ideas that I need to put on paper so somebody could film it.
Yeah, for sure.
But
That's awesome.
that's
Um,
that's what's going on.
do you have like a plan for music release going in the near future?
Um, I think it's back to once a week. Like I already have 3 songs ready to drop, honestly.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna go back to once a week a song, and I do need to make an NFT album sometime very soon.
Oh yeah,
I
where are
haven't.
you at with the NFTs right now?
Well, I got money in my Coinbase. I tried to transfer it to my wallet, and I was having issues, so we could talk about that off stream.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, with NFTs, I'm not really. I've like I just applied to Glendale Community College last night. I think that's where my head's at. Is like, how am I gonna make money from this MFA?
Yeah,
How am I gonna make money doing something I care about? I'm not too concerned yet with trying to make money off NFTs, just because I'm
well,
not.
I wasn't even
That
thinking like the money
you
aspect.
know.
Just like it's a new platform to get your art out.
Mm, that too, yeah. I need to. I think I still need to do like I need to go through a research phase for that. Still,
Yeah,
I like I said, I've just been more dedicated to things that are more concrete to me. Like to me, it's not. That's not too concrete, and it's a little removed. It's more peripheral. You know what I mean?
for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way, to be honest, because I've been following a couple. Like I follow people on Twitter and I see what's happening in the NFT world constantly. But
Hmm.
um, I was really gung ho at the beginning, making my own
Yeah.
project and stuff. And now that I've gone through that experience and I have something that I can use, um, I'm sort of stepping back because I'm like, all right, maybe we're getting a little like we're a little too in Wild West right now, and I don't have
Yeah.
enough like technical wherewithal to adequately like secure myself. And a lot of these other people do.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm realizing I'm a little bit more in over my head than I thought.
The people at the center of the NFT world right now have enough money to buy $100,000 pixel pieces. So,
Dude, $2.4 million pixel piece.
but you know what I mean,
Yeah,
though. It's like I mean, even like on the low end, like
yeah,
that's way too much money. That's
yeah,
not for.
yeah.
I mean, for me, like I'm like that's not for me right now. I need to get a job first so I could pay $500 for rent to my parents.
Right, right. Yeah, like one project I've been supporting, I'm on the whitelist for like to get an NFT, but it's like it's 0.05 ETH, which is $200 plus gas fees.
That's a lot. That's a
So
lot.
it's very. I mean, it's an investment for sure. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm like I support this person, but one of
Mm.
the big things like with my project is I'm not gonna list it on any platform that's going to have exorbitant gas fees. Like it has to be Solana, like something that's not as popular as Ethereum, but is still like trustworthy, and a lot of small boutique. What am I saying? A small artists will post there, and it's like easily accessible. It's something you get for like 20-30 bucks, because that's like what you would pay in real life for a piece of art, if you went to a
Yeah.
shop or something. What's up,
Yeah.
Carmen? Good to see you. How are you doing? How's your
Carmen, when are we
Saturday?
getting beers? Yo, like you, me, Alex, Jesse, Elias, Panda, you can fly out here. But I mean, anybody that's here, like we should definitely be meeting up and hanging soon.
Yeah, Carmen, when are we playing Halo, man? Come on. Come on, I've
No,
been
no.
grinding
I mean,
grinding
like,
all
let's
week.
go do something in real life. Stop. I want to get off the games.
No, man,
I
the
want to do something.
games are just starting, dude. Games are
Get
just
out.
starting.
Gotta get out of the metaverse for a little bit,
I
man.
I am not stopping until I am more pale than Dracula. That is
You already are.
until I've achieved like onyx in every category. It's dude. I'm not leaving this
Mm.
chair. I've got a bucket next to me. You already know the vibe.
We could play Halo after this.
I
That can't
have
get much
I have to run a practice at 4. So, yeah, we
if
might
they show up.
it's virtual, so they'll be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's 4 p.m., so they'll be waking up, 30 minutes before.
Before. Yeah, so they have plenty of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
Um
cool to meet up and hang out with everybody.
I agree. I agree. I mean Carmen's not too far, you're not too far. I have to say, Chris, man, like it's still I can't go to where you live. I just can't. It's too like there's too many thoughts and memories like in that just in that spot. So eventually maybe like that it won't be a problem, but right now I can't.
I thought you were gonna say because it's too ghetto.
No, no, that's not.
Yeah, I feel you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking through some pictures and I saw like the bayfront, that I would go to in Sarasota whenever I was having those feelings.
Mhm.
And I definitely miss being able to go there. Like I feel like I don't have a place like that now, you know? Or I mean I know places that can become that place, but they're far enough that I'm like, I might as well just distract myself in some other way.
Speaking of places, dude, I have to say your room looks really nice.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
I don't really recognize it actually. Like it's not I mean cuz I've been to your place a couple times. I don't remember it like everything being positioned like that.
Oh, well, I mean, I did switch some things up when I got back here because it was a little crowded for me. It just wasn't really ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't feel at home though. I need to replace some furniture. I need to get a bookcase. Like there's so many like small things that I haven't even unpacked one of the suitcases, you know?
Mhm.
I just hung that tapestry and I just hung my whiteboard that's to the right of that tapestry that you can't see.
I mean from what I can see
Um
it all looks very tidy. It looks
yeah,
like
I
a very
mean,
clear state of mind room right now.
well, I mean, I'm obsessive when it comes to making my bed every morning and just trying to keep things organized because then I really get depressed if I don't do those
Oh
things.
yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. My bed is not made right now and it's floating in the back of my head. I'll be right back. No, I'm kidding.
That's funny. Yeah, that's I don't know, man. It's funny because even in this state of feeling clean, it still feels so off to me. Like this is not the feng shui that
Feng
it used to stay.
shui.
It's real, man. You know what that is, right?
I've heard that word before, but I don't know what it means.
Feng shui is the Chinese belief that I think it's Chinese. The
I
let's
think.
let's let's just say the Eastern belief that the way that you arrange your living space and the furniture that you choose dictates like kind of like the energy of your life.
Oh yeah, I agree with that 1,000,000%. Yes, most
Mhm.
definitely. Which is why I'm a disorganized person because I'm looking over and the blanket that's sitting on the couch looks like a little rat's nest. So yeah, that's so right.
Mhm. That's how it
Um.
goes.
Okay. What is your best? You kind of said this one already, but if you have a different one, you can share it. Best acting memory from CSULB.
Oh, from Cal State Long Beach.
Hmm?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that was the one that I already shared. Honestly, I think that was the best. I'm trying to think. Like, did I don't.
It's
I didn't really
hard to
do.
top it, man.
Oh, I remember now. I got a really good one that actually does top it. Well, no, but it's funny because it doesn't top it. It definitely it's equal.
Okay.
Especially because this was a comedy. So I did you ever come and see me do the bald soprano?
I didn't even know you did the bald soprano.
I did the bald soprano and I played Mr. Smith. And
What
Marilyn
year was
Victoria
this?
was must have been my junior year in I think 2014, 15.
And 2015 was when we did Big Fish. So, but probably 2014 if it was before.
I mean, it was also a showcase, so it might
Oh,
have been
okay.
the
You might have done
semester
it.
after. I think it was the semester after Big Fish, or no,
Gotcha.
before. Barrett Roseman directed it. So yeah, it was 2014, and it had to have been actually yeah, first semester of 2014, I think. Anyways, Marilyn Vittoria played Mrs. Smith, and this was one of the most interesting days. So it was a Friday afternoon performance, right?
Hmm.
And the night before, I'd spent the night at Eric and Jerry Campisi's place. Um, and so we had smoked, and I don't think we drank at the time, but we smoked a lot, and I woke up on the couch, and I fucking go, I take a shower, I'm like getting ready, for the show, like kind of mentally, and then I go downstairs to my car, and then the next door neighbor's like lighting up a blunt, and I'm like, and he's like, hey man, you want to smoke? I'm like, really? Sure, why not? I'm fucking, why not? I'll take one, 2 puffs. And so I'm there, like, I get a couple, and on my merry way, and that was a cool exchange. Had a little conversation. I was like, I'm actually about to go do a show right now.
Hmm.
Um, show up, and so we're doing the show, and there's this part where Mickey, do you remember Mickey? What's her last name? With the
Doesn't ring
brown
a bell.
hair. Anyways, this girl named Mickey is playing this firefighter that comes to the door and like knocks on the door. So there's supposed to be like so the sound cue happens. It goes. There's like a doorbell, or it's like she knocks on the door first, and then Marilyn opens the door. No one's there. She closes it, and like we keep having conversation, and then then the doorbell rings. She goes back, opens it, no one's there, and then the third time the fucking sound cue didn't come again, and like there was a solid like pause that maybe was probably 30 seconds long maximum. It felt like a fucking eternity, bro. And I literally went through the whole first 15 pages of the show in my mind. I was like, did I miss a cue? Did I miss a cue? Where? You know? And then I come to the conclusion that the sound cue had not come. And I looked over at, the curtain. I could see that Cindy Yoon was the one that was running it. She was struggling. And immediately I was like, ding dong, and I fucking did the doorbell myself.
Oh.
Like genius, right? And then fucking Marilyn goes to the door and opens it, and there's Mickey. It was just fucking perfect, and then everybody just dies, bro. It was like one of those shows where like shit was going wrong, and I would just improv, or like somebody else would improv, and it would just go perfectly. And like the fucking crowd was fire, man. Like they were dying every time. Like that was one of the coolest. I wish I could describe it in better detail, but because it doesn't sound like
Oh
much, but
man.
the intensity of like that fucking moment, it felt like 10 years, bro, that we were sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Waiting.
that was the coolest moments. And like when I was like ding dong, and then she goes, opens the door, and she's there, and everybody just like it was a roar of laughter. I was like, oh my god, thank God. I was like, okay, so it's not because I'm high. It was a technical error.
Oh my god. Um, actually, I can
Yeah.
ask you this one because you went to Bosco. Uh, do you
I
have
already know.
do you have like an acting moment at Bosco that really stands
Oh,
out to you?
acting. Hmm. Yeah. The when we went, phew, um, yeah, the night before we opened 12 Angry, or the day, was it the same day, the same evening that we were supposed to open 12 Angry Jurors? I was having like a psychological breakdown, like or no, it was the night before,
Aren't
actually.
you
Yeah,
always though?
I am. But, I was in high school, and that was, when it started, that's when it first started happening. Because
Yeah.
really, like, I don't feel like I was like a depressed, like really depressed kid. I had depression since I was 7, but like, freshman year of high school, bro, like I was so happy, like, and I was playing football, and like I was really great. And then my girlfriend from 7th grade cheated on me with fucking James De Silva. Remember him?
Dang, call them people out. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. No, I don't give a fuck. I slapped that fool at one point. But
All right.
no, I really like I was that I feel like that really set the tone for like A lot of my life, bro, honestly, like, that really fucked me up.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah, it really did.
That was a powerful moment.
Dude, because imagine, like, getting a call from so, like, the day before I found out, I had gone my mom drove me and, remember Johnny Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Drove me and Johnny Gonzalez to downtown Long Beach to meet up with our girlfriends at the time, Olivia Salas and Stephanie Rosales, who went to St. Anthony's High School. And we went to go watch the Terminator movie. And so fucking we're all there and it was awkward because my mom's like over there and to the left of us while we're trying to watch the movie. And Stephanie was like upset or something about I don't know about what. And she kept like looking over at Olivia, what do like what are you doing? Like kind of thing. Um and me and Stephanie were cool. I was actually in her quinceañera in LA. And I don't know, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and then Stephanie, like, stormed off, and, like, Johnny was like, "Did I do something?" Like, I don't he didn't know, and he was kinda bummed. It's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then Olivia chased after her, and then it was kinda like that we ended up having to go home. The next day, dude, this girl named Becca Rodriguez, who I went to St. Pan with, texts me, and she's like, "Hey, like, um, I feel like I should tell you this, but, I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I just want
Oh
you to know
God.
because, you're my friend, but, I just saw Olivia Salas, with this guy named James at at the park when they're holding hands. And, like the fury, bro, like I was like ready to go to this park and like kill this dude. And the fact that I didn't, I think killed me internally, for years. Um,
Really? Because you didn't like you
Go
didn't
do
like so,
something
so
about like I should
yeah.
have like go kicked his ass, you know what I mean? And then like kicked her ass too, honestly. No, I'm kidding. But I'm glad I didn't do those things because I could have ruined my life, right?
Yeah, you could
But
have. So you actually made the better decision.
I know, but it still destroyed me inside. But hey, we're getting off topic here, but
Best
these
acting memory. I got cheated.
no, 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 but like this is all leading. I promise you, this is
Yeah,
leading
yeah,
up to
for
this
sure.
this thing. So I'm pretty damn depressed, and it's like my sophomore year of high school, and I'm like caught between like wanting to like play football and like do theater, and then also like just mad at my parents for like sending me to this all boys high school, and I'm just all fucked up, like and all
Mhm.
hormonal, and I go to this counseling session because I was going to see a counselor at Bosco because I needed somebody to talk to. And, I had told her that I had, had thoughts of killing myself when just because I looked at my dad's drawer and like I knew that there was a gun there. And I was like, like just the thought crossed my mind. And I was like, I mean, that crosses everybody's mind, doesn't it? Like, when you see a gun, like, don't you sometimes think like, oh, like I could totally end my life right now? Like, not like I was going to, but like, I just thought
The
that.
possibility is like so easily in reach.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, she didn't yeah, she wasn't really cool with that, so she, like, called my parents and, like, she felt like she needed to call, like, social services to, like, get social service to tell my parents to, like, lock up the gun, which they did end up doing, unfortunately, but
Which is also something that administration is required to do when they hear something related to that
right.
that.
So, yeah, and this all happened literally the day before I was gonna or if not the same day, I don't remember, that I was gonna open 12 Angry Men as juror number 3, one of, like, the biggest roles in the show.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I was just like, "No, like, you can't take this away from me, like, this is the only thing that is making me happy right now." And, like, they wanted to send me to a psychological evaluation, before I did the show, and, like, they were
Oh
basically
man.
gonna cancel the show for that night. And on to top all of this off, bro, like, fucking Gerald's mom had just passed away
I
from cancer,
remember that. I remember that.
and, I felt, like, so selfish later, like, because when I found out about it, um I'm like, "Oh, here I am, my fucking, wallowing in my stupid ass depression when this dude, like, actually has, like, real shit going on in his life." And I think this is the moment I crossed the bridge of, like, realizing, like, I'm not doing acting, you know, for me, like, this is yeah, I don't know, dude, Gerald went on, and that hits me every time. Is like, ah, we did a show and this dude just lost his mom, and so I feel like I've continued doing acting because I've thought about that like ever since. You know,
Yeah,
like the show must go on.
that's pretty insane that someone can pull through on on something like that. You know, that's some real
And
dedication.
it was a banger, man. Like it was a good show. And that's I think one of the highlight. Like it's not like a positive, super positive memory. I could give you a more positive memory, which is dumber,
It's
but like
powerful. I mean, it is a memory of triumph in a way.
yeah, because after that, like I kind of I stopped bitching,
Yeah, it's
and
like we can sort of get wrapped up in the things that we're dealing with, and all it takes is just like I'll do this sometimes is when I go into the kitchen and I stick that glass in the fridge to, get some water. I'm like, dude, there's millions of people that can't do this right now. Like
yeah,
just this thing, they
it's
can't do this.
perspective. It's
Yeah,
just
like
perspective.
I'd have to travel, and it helps if you go through it a little bit. Like I know there have been points in my life where like I was somewhere else, not at home, and the amenities of being at home weren't available, and I suddenly realized how inconvenient it is to not have that there. So as soon as I came back home, I'm like, okay, thank you, universe. Like, I'm so glad I'm
Mm,
in this position right now. And and so yeah, when you are going through something, not to detract from the things that you're going through, because it'd be very like you couldn't go to Gerald and say, oh well, like there's other people dealing with, like, they lost their, you could go
right.
down this endless rabbit hole of you can never feel sorry for yourself, which I
True.
don't think people should do. But you can strike a balance and go, it where I'm at is tough right now, but I have a lot to be grateful for. And I think in that particular example, it really like stuck out in your face because it was your castmate, who you were
Yeah.
opening a show with.
And I watched that dude like almost the whole show. I felt like I was I felt like I was watching him instead of doing my role. But I did my role, you know.
Yeah,
I was just in awe like the whole time. I was like, "How are you sitting
yeah,
here?"
yeah. How are you here right now? Yeah,
Hmm. And so that kind of strength, I was like, "Man, like that snapped me out of a lot of bullshit in my head." Um, and I'll give you a more positive one because that one is like heavy. It makes me cry every time. There is fucking I think it was like second to closing night of uh Diviners. So I was pretty freaking acquainted with the show at this point.
mm-hmm.
I think actually you were I think this is the night you came with your mom. um so school got out early. I think it was a Friday night. School got out early, right? So I go with John Gabutin. Remember him?
Yeah,
And Johnny Gonzalez, and we go to the San Gabriel riverbed that is, like kind of north of Bellflower Boulevard
mm-hmm.
or south, I should say. And we go and like we get fucking faded.
Oh my gosh.
So high. Well, first we had gone to the dispensary, okay, in Long Beach. Then we came back and we do our thing because I had to go do a show. My dad calls me. He's like, "Oh, I had stopped at my house on the way back to like grab some stuff." My dad calls me. He's like, "The whole house smells like weed," and he was pissed the fuck off. And I remember, like, I was like, "Oh shit, that's that Fat Albert." It was the strain called Fat Albert. Literally, you open the bag and you could smell the weed upstairs. Like, it was the strongest weed I'd ever bought. On
Oh my
top of that, I
gosh.
bought a giant brownie with an eighth of weed in it. So imagine I smoked probably like a gram of weed or 2 grams of weed before, and then on top of that, I took the fucking giant brownie right before I went on stage.
Mm-hmm.
The highest I've ever been. I don't even remember what I did in that performance.
What were you thinking?
Hey, I get out at the end of it, and like everybody was like crying and like, "Oh my god, that was the best show I've ever seen!" And "Oh my god, you look like Johnny Depp," and blah blah blah. Like, what is going on right now? That was a fun that was okay, I do remember what was going on stage. Um, but I realized it I was on there and I was really just taking my time and I was so calm and I was like, Like I was just the character, you know. Like I remember there's this part where we're in the on stage left and down stage left with Lisa and what was his name? Lisa's husband. They're married now. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
I know who you're talking.
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel
Yeah,
Roy.
yeah.
And we're, like and we're having the donuts in the donut in Lisa's donut shop. Are you regular, Dad? They're like, yep, I'm regular. Like and it's just like I'm completely like at ease and just super calm, like faded as fuck. That was the best show I think. One of the best shows I ever did, just because it was, yeah, man. I was there, like I was in the world, even though I was like super stoned, like it made me. I felt like it made me, better. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
remember
sure
going
enough.
and seeing it. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen, for sure. I don't remember. I don't know if it was that night, but maybe it was. I don't know.
I think it was because it was literally like if it wasn't the closing show, it was like the one right before closing.
It was
And it
pretty
was like,
close to closing. Yeah,
yeah, it was like the most heavily attended one. And then after that, everything kind of dropped off because like the rest were like matinee.
because they saw how crap your performance was that night, and they didn't want to come back. No, I'm kidding.
No, no, actually, I don't know. People kept coming. I don't remember necessarily. But
Dude,
yeah, man, it
I'm
was,
surprised you remember as much as you do because I don't remember jack from high school. I don't remember
dude.
anything.
Did you probably weren't ever there during that show? Like there was like a palpable tension between me and Matt Aruburu all the time. I don't know why. Like
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
I don't know if it was going on in the show where you were there, but I remember like one time Lang was like, "Are you guys gonna stop being bitches and just fucking go at it or what?" Like he wanted us to fucking
Oh my
fight. Like he's like,
gosh.
I don't want to see this anymore. Like you guys either better squash whatever the fuck is going on right now, or or you know, or fight it out."
Sounds like my paintball team.
Good times.
I'll go onto the group chat and they'll just be like beefing over something. I'm like, what are you fighting about? No one even said anything. What are you arguing about right now? Yeah, good times, man.
Bro, there was I keep having memories. I'm sorry. Like there was this time when we were working on 12 Angry Jurors and we were still in the rehearsal process, and juror number 2, who's like this bus driver, and she has like a very strong outlook on minorities. And so it's played by Hannah, and Hannah's like the nicest person in the world. And Lang is like, he wanted her to go there. He wanted to get angry.
Hmm.
And he literally stops everything. He's like, "Hannah, take this chair." And she's like, what do you want me to do with it?" "Throw it against the wall." Like, "I want you to throw this chair against the wall over and over again." And then and she did that until like she was like crying and pissed off, and then she fucking did the monologue, and it was incredible, dude. Like I think we all were like crying, like when you know
Wow,
we were just like, whoa, like yeah.
that's amazing.
Lang is the shit, man. Like I wouldn't be where I am if it hadn't been for that all of that.
I agree with that 100%. And I tell my esports guys, look, if you have an opportunity to do a show with Mr. Lang, do it because he is no one in the industry in my career and in any experience I've had with acting has been as hard on me as he was or like as
Mm-hmm.
intimidating, like actually wanted me to push myself, you know?
Did
And I got a lot of valuable experience having that sort of like pressure put on, that
Mm-hmm.
professionalism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Did I ever
he's
tell
really
you
awesome.
about the time that I showed up late to a rehearsal for, I think it
Um,
was All Shook Up, I think, or Disco Inferno?
I can only imagine. Who tell me?
Dude, I was in the oratory playing ping pong, and Lang comes to the oratory, like, drags me out by my ear.
So you just straight up didn't show up because you were playing ping pong.
I was like, "Oh, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Oh, it's like, I'm 5 minutes late. I'll be right over there." Like it's literally a walk,
Yeah,
like, "Let me finish this game."
yeah.
He comes in, "Fuck are you doing here?" Literally drags me out by my ear.
By
He's
your
like,
ear.
literally, like, "Grab your stuff. Let's go."
Dang.
He's like, "I swear to God, Chris, you are not gonna pull another Urinetown on me. because my freshman year, I was in Urinetown, and like 2 weeks before we opened, I
That was
dropped.
your freshman year?
That was my freshman year,
For some reason I thought Urinetown was later.
and that was my favorite show. Besides probably 12 Angry Men, that was my favorite show of all of them, and The Diviners. That was my favorite show for
And it
sure.
was because you
That
wanted to
was
play football, right?
favorite musical. Yeah, that was. I went to like. I was like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna do this anymore because I want to go play spring football. Like, I fucking idiot. Oh
Hey,
man,
but I
and
mean,
so
like, if you wanted to play football, you can't really. What if acting was not something that you were interested in? What if like sports were your
I really
thing?
thought I had a chance. I was like, I'm young. Like the Kiki Mendoza, like the head coach, he's like, I want you to be a linebacker. Like I want, like like I could see that you're serious about this. Um, and so, anyways, I remember he was just like, I swear to God, if you fucking do something like this again, I don't give a fuck. I'll never cast you again, and you can go fucking do your acting in Long Beach, Jordan.
Wow,
It was dead serious. I never showed up late ever again after that.
that sounds like an actual email you would get from a production.
Yeah,
Holy.
it was
Um.
it was good.
So you did
Formative years.
you did football your freshman year. What other sports did you play?
Yeah, freshman and sophomore year, I was technically on varsity because we lost like once we lost that senior class, which was full of like Division One athletes.
Yeah.
Um, the SJB football team was completely like depleted, and so they were like, okay, we need whoever we can get. Like, let's get sophomores up on the varsity level, at least just so our sideline looks beefier, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so I did that, and I did wrestling. And yeah, freshman year through junior year, but I never really competed. Like because I was also, there's also shows going on, so I would like either go to wrestling practice or try to go to rehearsal, and I was trying to coordinate that, and it was impossible because the show I would be doing, or like I missed out on doing a show because I was like, I'm gonna go do wrestling instead. And I didn't like wrestling that much because I was out of shape. It was a super physically demanding sport, and I was like getting like practicing with like the older guys, the juniors and the seniors who were like already state qualified or CIF champs.
Mm-hmm.
Were like breaking my freaking spine on the mat, like picking me up and dropping me over and over again nonstop. And like I was like, how is this happening? So by the time junior year came around, like I quit sophomore year of, I mean, I didn't quit football, but like I finished the season. I didn't come back because I was getting bullied. Probably because I was depressed, and so I was just attracting that negative energy. Um, and yeah, junior year I stopped. I mean, I was still doing wrestling through junior year. Senior year, I didn't come back because I showed up for one practice, dude, and it was like Olympic level. Like this was when Aaron Pico came to Bosco his freshman year, and he was number one in the nation as a wrestler before he set foot on a high school mat. Now look up Aaron Pico and show stream what he looks like now.
Okay.
He's in
So
Bellator. He's in Bellator UFC now, and he's a freaking stud. Like, look at Aaron Pico highlights. Like, you can show what this kid does now. And I wish I had stuck with it, man, because I love it still. Like, I've been doing jujitsu for the last year in Sarasota, and I'm pretty damn good.
um this guy, he's a MMA fighter.
Yeah, dude. He went to Bosco. Look at him.
Dang,
Insane.
dude.
You should see his knockouts, man. His knockouts are devastating. Like, he's knocked out people in 25 seconds. Like, I think it's
Let's
like the
see.
third row, one, two, three, four, fifth pick. That's, I think, one of his first knockouts.
Oh wait, is this him at oh no, dethrone. Let's see, Aaron Pico.
Yeah. Oh, he's an Olympic wrestler too, I think.
Yeah, here's a picture of him. Um doesn't say the year
In
on it.
Bosco, and he was tiny, dude. He was a tiny little dude.
That's crazy, man.
Look, I wish I had stayed, man, because that would have elevated. I mean, We all you all do what you end up doing. I was super out of shape by the time senior year came around
Mhm.
because I hadn't been doing football anymore. Did I play any other sports? No, I was honestly, man, I was just messing around too much, smoking too much weed. I started smoking weed, I was a sophomore.
You ever feel like that's messed with you mentally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If I could go back and, like, have been able to, like, have chosen better friends. The reason me and Johnny, I think, hung out all the time is like a trauma bond. Like, we left St. Pancratius, we went to the same middle school together. And, in middle school, it was like him, my buddy Seth, and my buddy Trey, who Trey also went to Bosco, and this other kid named Nathan Mora. Well, actually, he left in seventh grade. So, but yeah, it was like the four of us, and we were like the homies. And, when Seth left, it was like the group had been broken up, and then it was just me and Johnny became really close. And, we were still tight with Trey, but like it wasn't, Trey had kind of become like in school, like people would make fun of him, so we kind of stayed away from him. Like he fell down the stairs and shit like that. Like, Trey was like the end of everybody's jokes.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. But now he's a cop, dude. Like Trey, don't fuck with Trey, man. And his dad is like a Long Beach like gang cop. So or like I think he works at the airport, but he was like a Long Beach gang unit cop at one point, and it's just like, yeah, man.
Don't mess
Uh,
around.
it was just like I didn't surround myself with better people, and it only got worse. Well, David Seviano, we started hanging out with him, um, towards like senior year, and then going into college. And, that's when we started getting into, even more actually, no, man, I was already doing hallucinogens and, like, harder drugs by my junior year. Like, I remember career day, I showed up on, like, 4,800 milligrams of codeine, um, ibuprofen, like, all sorts of downers, dude. And, like, it was like we were sitting in front of a detective for career day, and he's, like, talking about, different things that entail, like, his job and how to get there and stuff like that, how it was.
Yeah.
I remember, like, just, like, literally fading in and out of consciousness and, like, trying to ask him questions like fucking idiot. Yeah, man. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it was a cool experience, like, showing up to school on ecstasy, but I don't advise anyone ever do it. And, yeah, I think my life would probably be a lot better had I not. I mean, I was actually looking on Instagram the other day, and I saw, remember Danny? What was his last name? The cross country runner?
Yeah, I know who you're
Danny
talking about.
Martinez.
Yeah.
Danny Martinez, this tiny little dude. Dude, man, 10 years ago, he was super 102-degree flu, and he had the state qualifying, you know, cross country meet, and he decided to go. And that decision led to him getting a full ride to go to Portland University or whatever the school was. And, like now it's like his career, like it's the decisions that I made have led me, I wouldn't trade my path for anybody's, but also like if I had made way better decisions when I was younger, how much farther would I have gotten? Like if I had started taking acting seriously the day that I had that switch in my mindset, um, for 12 Angry Men when Gerald went on, if I had like really buckled down and like just focused on myself and kind of started approaching life the way I'm doing it now, where would I be? A lot happier and probably a lot more successful.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think about this too, like in especially in regards to streaming. Like I tried streaming before in 2014 and I didn't stick with it. I streamed maybe like I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And after I stopped, a few months passed and I said to myself, "Man, what if I had stuck with it for a little bit longer? Maybe I would have a following by now. Maybe I would be, like doing it regularly. I'd have some great clips to show off and such." And then when I started doing it again at the beginning of 2020, I I said to myself, I'm like, dude, as long as you do it every day, or as long as you do it on a routine or a schedule, then you won't have to ask that question, because then you'll actually see what will happen if you
Mm-hmm.
stick with it. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here right now if it hadn't been for that consistency. And I would hate for none of this to have happened, and to look back and go, what if I, was doing this thing on YouTube where I talk to people, or I had a chance to play with Dr. Disrespect, and I
Mm.
had footage of it that I could edit, and all the experience of making videos prior led up to being able to make it in a competent way. It's not just me like taking a screen recording and throwing it up on YouTube and being like, hey, I play with this guy. It's like, how can we actually make it look good?
Mm.
So yeah, like you can, I mean, you can go back and think, man, I maybe should have done this or that differently. Um, but ultimately, like, you learn from those experiences too. Like, you have full agency going forward now to take that and use it as a lesson to improve. And I couldn't agree more with you in regards to who you surround yourself with, because
Mm.
I've had people in my life who are just like, they're just leeches. Like, all they
Yeah.
want is to take and take and take and take, and
Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there are some people who just don't have, and this extends to relationships too. I never thought this would be important to me, but
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not with someone um who is motivated or self-aware or driven
Yeah.
to to give and take in a relationship, as well as give and take in their own life, that
Mm-hmm.
has a substantial effect on me and my own outlook and my own motivation. And I don't want to be in a relationship with someone just for the sake of being with them, because I
Yeah.
don't want to be alone. I want
Yeah.
to this has to be a team effort, okay? Again, me with my stupid gaming references. We got to be a duo, and we got to be a duo on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm covering and what's going on here. Um
Yeah.
Carmen says, your rank on Halo. I don't want to hold you back. I've been fixing my setup again. I got new gear. Oh, nice, awesome. I get paid on the first if you guys want to hang out next weekend. Let's
Oh,
do
she's
it.
buying drinks. Yeah, she got free bottle.
There we go. I don't want to hold you back. Honestly, Carmen, it doesn't really matter, because
Yeah.
I like, if you're playing mouse and keyboard, I don't care about my mouse and keyboard rank. The only rank I really care about, to be honest, is the controller solo duo queue. But even then, it's like, I'm diamond on all of them, so I don't, like, if one goes down, I still have the other. That's one thing I love about the matchmaking in Halo so much, is that it feels like having a Smurf account without actually having one. And just disclaimer, I've never had a Smurf account, guys. I know some people are weird about that. But you get different ranks, and I think that's so cool. And it's all for the same thing, but with different inputs. Um, Help Rome feel better, get his mind. Oh, thanks, Carmen. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing
He's
much
not
better
the only
now,
one that
but
needs it.
yeah, I'm definitely not though. I think we all need a little bit of R&R, as they
Yeah,
say.
man. The last, this last last 2 years, it felt like 1 year, man. You know.
Yeah, I look at that picture that I took of you when we were at Hollywood Sports. I think it was the last day before you left to go to grad school, and that feels like a different lifetime from right now.
Yeah, man. I'm completely different person. Like, yeah, and 100% agree with what you were saying about the relationship stuff. Like, I don't want to be with somebody that has like a victim mindset, or somebody that doesn't know what the fuck they want from life. I know exactly what I want for myself. You gotta find someone that
You can't communicate with
is.
someone like that. There's this, you know,
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in confrontation, like serious confrontation, and I don't mean that in like an
A
argumentative
negative sense,
way
right? Right.
necessarily, but just like, what do you want? What do I want? It's fine if you want something different.
Right. We
Just
just move
be
on.
clear about it. Yeah.
Right.
Let's figure out how how what we both want works, and if it doesn't, then well, better to know now than 10 years from now.
Hmm. Man, I think gas was even like 3.78 when I left, and now it's like $5.10.
Dude, you're really on that gas, aren't
I'm pissed about the gas, bro. I mean, because I have to put premium gas in my car. I mean, I know your mom does too, huh? Because she has it.
She has a
She has it. She
Mazda.
has she has a Mazda. Oh, never mind. I
Yeah.
was like, when I drove in the other night, or I was leaving the other night, a couple nights ago, whenever I visited, I was like, is that a Jaguar? It looks like a Jag. I was like, dang, I see you. I see you, Mama Rome.
Mama Rome. Yeah, she's siphoning that stream money. No, I'm kidding.
That's a nice car though, dude. It looks like a freaking Jaguar. What kind of Mazda is it? Do you know?
I'm not sure. It's some Mazda SUV.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's very nice. She takes really good care of it. Um, and I mean,
I'm sure.
I don't sit in the passenger seat as much as I used to, but when I do, like when we go to family stuff, definitely feels very nice in that car.
Mm-hmm.
We were leaving from Thanksgiving dinner 2 nights ago, and she turned on the heated seats. I was like, this thing has heated seats.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I can feel it.
yeah. I love those. How was it? How is your cousin doing?
She's good. She's you know,
What has she
facing her
been up to?
demons. She's been taking some classes at the name of the school escapes me right now. But she's been taking some classes here and there, and man, I think it just runs in the family sometimes. Like we get so in our heads. It's such a
What does facing her
predisposition.
demons mean? Yeah.
Honestly, kind of like what you're describing, feeling like you're not where you should be. She wasn't an only child, like she had a twin sister, but when you have a close sibling, especially close in age, there's a lot of comparison that comes into play, where you're comparing your own accomplishments or where you're at in life to your sibling, and if it seems like they're doing more than you feel like you're doing, that can be really debilitating, especially like if you feel like your parents are reflecting that same mentality as well.
Mm,
It's like a negative self-fulfilling prophecy. So
true.
she's trying to figure out where she wants to go, and she has a lot of trouble sleeping, um,
Mm,
and so that can be anytime you're not getting enough sleep or not eating right or not working out, like that'll just make everything times 100 worse. So um you know
yeah.
the times that we spend in each other's company are pretty awesome. Her and I connect pretty well, and we we just like we had Thanksgiving dinner and then went and sorry, we sat and watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventures for like 4 or 5 episodes and just laugh our heads off. So
Hmm.
he's been good. Maybe in the future, should there like be a point where she can get involved with another project, I think that might be a good experience. But I gotta get I gotta get this first one out of the way, and I gotta see how it works out. Very expensive to make a film, with the things you
Yeah.
want. So it's, I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of in a. Tomorrow we have a uh an expedition. We're going to go to uh not pattern stores, but like material stores, and I'm gonna look at and approve like the materials for all the costumes that we're gonna be using in the project. So
Dang.
yes, sir.
That's
It's a
intense.
process. Yeah. I don't know anything about materials, but the experts are there. They'll tell me, and I'll just say, "Hey, I mean,
That
sure,
looks
I can
good.
afford that. That looks good. We'll do that."
Hmm. Looks like my camera froze on your stream.
Oh,
Am I
it did.
crazy?
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Usually it'll correct after a while, but for the vast majority of the stream, I've been looking for it, and it looks fine. I didn't even realize until you mentioned it right now.
Oh, it just happened.
So
Maybe I
annoying.
should refresh my thing over here or not?
Yeah, you can try it. Hey, let me try this. Let me go to this is a good time to workshop it too. We've already gotten through like the bulk of everything. If I turn that off, turn it back on, yeah, it's still
Oh, I got you.
frozen. Ooh, what if I? Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I'll try it.
Um, yep, I see you.
Cool. Oh
I
man.
have a refresh option here, I think. In the future, I just want to see. Yeah, there is a refresh. I'm gonna do it right now just for S&G. Refresh that. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. We've
Yeah, what
talked
happened?
about high school. We've talked about college theater. We've talked about music. We haven't really. Well, I want to talk to you, of course, about gaming because you're one of the few actors I know who actually not just games but does it consistently. Like will play and will make an effort towards learning and improving.
Not really. I just play with you guys. Have fun.
Nah, dude, you
The
got
only the only
you gotta
play I
sweat.
the only game I try to get better at is Siege, but
Let's play
I don't know.
ranked.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I just feel like I don't know. It's hard to get better at that game, or for me at least, on my own. Like I don't really know
Why are you
what.
so bad?
I just don't know how to get better. That's the problem.
Oh,
How can you get better at something if you don't know how?
that's a really good point. I mean, like when you're a beginner at anything, well, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you don't know what to improve. Essentially, as you get better, like I noticed this with free running, the moves became less impressive to me after I understood. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. They became more impressive to me because I understood the intricacies of how they were executed when I knew I couldn't do them. Like I hadn't practiced them. So while doing a crazy, like doing a castaway off a rooftop, someone might see that and go, whoa, he just did a crazy flip off of it. I'm like, dude, he did a flip off of his hands, pressing his hips against the ledge and tucking out of it. And so as a noob, like I have no concept of that. But as someone who knows how to do a backflip and like went through all of that trial and error, like I get it now. I understand how challenging that can be. And then, I tried the same move myself into a foam pit and I'm like, this is hard. And some people can do it on the ground. That's why it becomes more impressive the more you understand it. And I think it's the same with Siege. If you don't know the maps or you don't know the call outs and you don't know how to properly hold angles, then it's it's hard to know that that's what you need to work on. But then once you watch pro players go at it, it's like, oh, this makes so much sense. Yesterday, I was watching some pro Halo players do. I was watching an Onyx mouse and keyboard player and a guy who is going to be participating in. Actually, it might be going on right now. The HCS, the first Halo tournament for controller, and back in the day when I watched esports, I would go, "Oh my god, how do they do that?" Like I don't know how they do that. I was watching these guys last night and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's exactly what I would have done." Really? You're going to push that? There were actually some decisions that they made. I was like, I don't know if I would have done that same thing. Because like it worked out but not quite as efficiently as I'd hoped. And as you develop that process of understanding in the given field, then you can grasp things a little bit differently. It's not so like I don't know what to do, because at the end of the day, like no matter what you do, there actually isn't that much you have to focus on once you distill everything into a manageable um I don't know what word I'm thinking of, but once you distill everything, it's like three things. Okay, it's hold this angle, play this site, and don't die. Yeah, and how do
Mm.
how do I use every tool, every micro tool I learned to accomplish those three things? Yeah, in any given situation. It's like, and you get into enough things experientially, you're like, oh, I've seen this before. I know how this is gonna play out. I'm gonna make this move. It becomes a sixth sense, and
Mm.
I feel that like it's with acting, it's with filmmaking, it's with gaming, it's with paintball, like every sport I've played. That's why I'm so glad I played volleyball in high school because volleyball was so freaking hard on my communication ability. Man, I was so bad at volleyball, but it made
Mm.
me 10 times better at everything else as a result. And like, when I hop into a ranked game, those same gears that churn when I played volleyball in high school are the same when I'm playing Siege. It's like, all right, I got to be talking at this moment. Paintball, super big deal as well. Like, you know, paintball is equivalent to volleyball in the sense that like volleyball is like gears, right? So the ball comes over, all right, standard affair. One person digs that easily. Hopefully that ball goes center stage, so to speak. Setter gets a beautiful set to either the outside, the mid, or the right. Okay, set up perfectly because of that first dig, and they call out who it's going to. That person's already presetting they're going and they're taking that smash. And when you're doing paintball, it's 5v5. You hear one person yell, kill one, kill one. You hear everyone yell, kill one. Another person yells, kill two, kill two. And everyone is on the same page moving forward. It's a very hard thing to do, but if you can accomplish it, you are a force to be reckoned with. And that's what I love about esports and sports and just, any activity that you can improve at, especially in a team
Mm.
dynamic, because like you can only control yourself at the end of the day, but how can you properly navigate? It's like you were saying earlier about being an empath. How can you navigate the personalities around you in order to make this like these 5 digits like one effective unit that's
Right.
punching forward? So,
I don't know. I think of video games too much as like a recreational thing. Like I just want to have fun. And the more pressure I put on myself to like, get to like some sort of, I don't know, status of, you know,
MLG.
yeah, whatever it may be, it kind of takes away the fun for me because, the reason I'm here to play is more to decompress from all the other things that I have to work on. It's like if I add another thing that I have to work on to get better at, it's just like, well, now what are my priorities now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's challenging for me because like the pressure is what I find the most enjoyable. It's the doing something really hard in a short amount of time and it working and being like, yes, we did it. But on that same token, when I started playing on a paintball team and not just showing up for rec ball at HSP, it no longer was as much of a stress reliever. Like it was still a stress reliever from auditioning and acting, but it felt like another job kind of because
Yeah,
there was an obligation to be there at a certain time and I was very adamant about you know keep I don't want to say keeping it professional necessarily because we're all just there having fun, but I was there to work and I was there to improve and I was constantly analyzing and going back and figuring out what I did wrong that day and what was effective, and that's not just like shutting my brain off and shooting a paintball gun. No.
true. True. Yeah, no, I do. I think that's why I like Siege is because it is one of those games where you always have to be thinking, like it's not like completely mindless. And
Yeah.
I don't know. There is at the same time I feel like I could really balance the recreational with the competitive element of that game.
Yeah.
On Halo it feels more recreational. It feels more fun cuz it's not so I guess the stakes aren't as high as far as, the game character's life, right?
Right,
Like you
because you
don't,
respawn. Yeah.
yeah, you respawn. Same with like, Resurgence. I guess that's probably why I don't like Verdansk as much.
Dude, I love Resurgence because of that.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I like that one. What else? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess you never really asked a real question though, as far as video games go.
Yeah. What is your well, we haven't really played Siege lately, so I want to
What the
say what
fuck?
are your thoughts what are your thoughts on like the current like gaming world right now. Are you excited about any particular game coming up? Are you finding that you enjoy Halo? Is it a game that you are like, yeah, I'll probably play another week and then I'm done? What's going
No, I
on?
like Halo a lot. I could actually keep playing that, and actually, I wouldn't mind getting better at that game. Just because it feels like something that's a little bit easier to get better at than Siege.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the gaming world, I don't know, man. Like, it's been a long time since I was like actually like like that feeling of like real excitement that I had for like a game to come out. I
I
haven't
feel,
had that
yeah,
in
I agree
so
with
many
you.
years.
I haven't had that either.
And I think I don't know if it's just being more mature, just being older, and like my life isn't really dependent upon, oh, what is this new piece of entertainment that I'm gonna get, or is it just because the games that are coming out just aren't as good anymore? I don't know. I think they're better now, like in terms of graphics and design. But maybe it's just being older and being like, dang man, like my time is like limited, and I remember I mentioned this to you right before I even built my PC that I was like, I don't want to build it and like, be a streamer and like get into playing video games too much because, it's going to take time away from my life. And I feel like the more of the time I dedicate towards what to me is recreational leisure activity time, um, then the more guilty I'll feel later in life when I look back and be like, wow, like look how much time I spent playing video games versus how much time I spent, working on music or auditioning or, making other collaborative projects.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it all depends at the end of the day what you value as productive time and what at the if you can go to bed that night and go, all right, I got this done today, then you can feel good. I mean, that can be anything, be anything. Be really really good about.
Yeah, I don't. I've always. It's weird. Like I've always. I think once I got to maybe college, that's when I started feeling that feeling of like I can't enjoy games as much as I used to.
Hmm.
Like, I think one of my favorite games to play was like I would love to just get stoned and play FIFA because it's like such a one of those games you could just like lay back and like kind of. I
It's
mean,
a
obviously, I
casual
would play
game.
the. Yeah, it's casual, but I mean, you play online and it's pretty difficult. It could get pretty competitive.
We have
But
a
I
FIFA
usually.
squad at Bosco.
Oh yeah,
Or we
I mean,
we
yeah,
I don't know if we do currently anymore, but there yeah we did at first. There was mention of it. I haven't seen
yeah. For
FIFA
me, it's
practicing.
just career mode. That was like my favorite thing to do, just because it's relaxed and I don't have to worry about anybody and kind of the story of the game is the team that I put together and me being the head coach of it and like you know how I build that team. That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite things to do when I was younger was I would get like NCAA football and then a Madden of the same year, and then like you start like all the way in on career mode in high school with one of some created player, and then you go all the way through like the ranks of like the high school part, and then you play in college football, and then I could transfer the character over to professional. And I don't know, that was like super cool to me because in my mind, I'm like living out the life of this character that I imagine is myself, sort of thing.
Hmm.
I guess it's the same sort of feeling of playing like an like something like Skyrim, which actually I was watching Katara Ibarra play some the other night. I was like, oh man, like just watching this, I'm like, oh okay, I'm starting to get more interested into this game, so I might go get Skyrim just for cheese geese.
Had you ever played Skyrim before?
I owned, yeah, like I didn't get very far at all though, because I was like, oh, like this is one of those games that I'm gonna have to like, sit here and like grind a lot at.
Yeah.
And the idea of that is what turns me off. But for example, like with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like it was a good enough game that it sucked me in so much that I didn't even think about that.
Hmm.
Whereas for me, like Skyrim, it's a little bit outdated enough that I'm like, it's like older and the graphics aren't that great, whatever. But I don't know, just watching and like seeing like I think there she came upon like some house, like this little tiny little cottage, and like there was a dude like laying in there on the bed and he was dead, but he had left in his journal, and there's a dog in the house and he left in the journal like this has been like no, my most loyal dog. I know he'll be okay and he can take care of himself. Um and I hope he'll be all right, kind of thing. That's all I really cared about. And so like to go around and like explore worlds and like, hear the stories of these characters, that's starting to interest me, I
Yeah.
think. And like, building my own character story, that's interesting to me. But yeah, like I said, the problem is the consideration of time
Have you
for
ever
sure.
considered acting for games?
Oh yeah, I'd love to, dude. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Doing I
Who
mean
wouldn't want to do
it
that?
started off just as mocap where it was, physical stuff, but now I see them where they like do the
They just film
scene.
now.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
just
they
film
just
it.
film. I mean, I watched Vanguard and like 75% of Vanguard was a freaking cinematic,
Yeah.
and it was really well shot and it looked beautiful.
Yeah, it would be really
Like
cool to do auditions. I've never seen them when I've been on backstage or on any of my casting ventures, but they're there apparently. I did a mocap
they're
workshop
there.
a few years back, and they said you audition for these the same way you audition for any other. So
They're there. Yeah, they're harder to come by, especially because they're looking for people. I'm sure they they reach out to people first who like they know close that aren't going to charge like super much, or they'll go and like try to get somebody that has a big following, right?
or it's kind of like the stunt industry where it's family, it's like lineage, you know
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
the
like
same
that first option.
people get the same jobs and stuff. um yeah.
Mm. Yeah, man.
2 hours 30 minutes, I think. I'm probably gonna call it here so that I can get some food before practice starts. But
Yeah, I definitely gotta pee.
dude, this has been amazing. It's great to I know you and your story, but to have it in a format that's easily accessible, and we can see both of our faces, and we get to share this experience with the chat as they've come through and hung out throughout the course of it is really really awesome and gratifying for me. And if there's a moment you want to go back and you want to share in some format, then it's here now.
Yeah,
It
it's been cool
exists in
because
the space.
the last time I did an interview actually was with my friend Kenny. And you can find that at building_bridges. He interviewed like my entire ensemble. Um, and I thought it was interesting because, a lot of the questions were kind of more around like my past and like how I got to where I was.
Hmm.
So it was nice to do an interview that was more like kind of about like the present and like the recent past and hopefully the recent future. Like
Yeah,
so.
I'm so excited about the future, man. Like I always want to know where people are going. The possibilities are endless, and that's for all my woes and gripes and troubles. There is usually something to be excited about, and I want to really focus in on that. And everyone that I bring into this space it's about where they're going and where they're at currently. Um,
Yeah.
aside from the fact that my username is Rome, I went with when in Rome because it's like wherever you're at right now, like what are you gonna accomplish in that space while that opportunity is there? So might as well.
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah,
everyone.
man.
Thank you so much for coming through and hanging out. Links to SoundCloud and Spotify and socials are down below in the description. So make sure you go
Oh, thanks.
and support Chris OG Risen in his journey as an artist.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you guys DM me about what you thought about the music too, or like things that you want to hear more of, because that's the hardest part for me as a musician is like, how do I get better so that people are also getting something that they want too, because I'm obviously putting out music for myself, but I do want to hear what people want and then try to give that to them.
mm,
So thank you.
sure. All right, guys. We are gonna close it out here. Thank you so much, everyone who came through. I appreciate you guys supporting the stream, supporting me and supporting Chris. And is there anything you want to close out with, Chris, before we dip out of here?
Yeah, the just a friendly reminder, everybody is having the human experience, and it takes one to know one.
Okay.
Hmm.
You
That's
heard
it.
the man. All right. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Take care. Peace out.
Much love. Peace.